Welcome to the Brian Craig Show. My name is Brian, and this is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome, one and all. So today's the day, and what I want to ask you guys is, what do you think Trump should do? This war with Iran, without question, was won by the United States on day one, right? We took out the supreme leader, their senior leadership, and devastated their military. They've got nothing really left. The leaders that are left alive, they're only alive because President Trump chose these people to live so that the United States had someone to negotiate with. And since they're not negotiating, what's the point? So the ceasefire is over tomorrow night. So what do you think President Trump should do? Should he obliterate the entire country? Should he kill all of these leaders and military leaders, this Iranian Revolutionary Guard lunatic, the president of Iran, the government that's left, take out the power plants, take out the bridges? Should he do all that? I say, yeah. There's a big generational divide with what's going on with Iran, because so many people out there that are younger don't remember all the headaches and mayhem and terrorism that we've had from the Iranians, even before the 1979 revolution. There's never been a time with Iran in my lifetime that we haven't had a problem with them. And President Trump, with the grand strategy here, is what I'm going to detail when the show opens on the radio in a few minutes, is to bring finally peace to the Middle East. I mean, how many conflicts have there been in the Middle East in your memory, right? Let's just go through the times of we don't go through all of history, just in your memory, since you've been following these things. Any conflict in the Middle East, no matter what it is, Iran has been behind it. And this god-awful Gaza war that began with this barbarian attack on October 7th at the music festival in Israel, that was all Iran. Because of the size of the population of Israel, which is very small compared to the United States, it was many, many 9/11s in the loss of life, okay? Think about if when America was attacked on 9/11, which was just a terrible day. Those of you that remember, I mean, it was this the kind of thing you don't forget. It was just a god-awful day and time and week and months. But imagine if Al-Qaeda, after they knocked down the buildings, went around murdering and raping New York women. What would the United States have done? Yeah, so, all these people that blame Israel for all these things in the Gaza war, I don't think you're taking in account what happened on October 7th, all right? It was barbaric times infinity. I mean, this is the kind of thing we have not seen in the modern world. It's the kind of thing you would read about in history books from maybe even prehistoric times. And I got to tell you, considering what happened on October 7th, Israel's response was rather mild. Don't you agree? I mean, what would our response have been if that happened at the World Trade Center? Yeah, we would have nuked them. It would have been it. So I think Israel was restrained. But President Trump, he's tired of these useless Mideast peace negotiations. He ended the Gaza war between Gaza and Israel. He put together this historic board of peace. He's got all these countries, mostly Muslim Middle Eastern countries, that have signed on, and we've got one outlier that will not allow peace to happen, and that's Iran. And there's multiple reasons why President Trump has decided to go after Iran, but that's one of them, and it's a big one, and it's relevant. So, you see the way that they're acting now with their military devastated, their government in ruins, their senior leaders, both civilian and military, all dead. And they're still refusing to come to any type of agreement. They're calling us arrogant. They're calling us the problem. They're saying the United States is the problem. They're upset at some post on True Social. I was just reading, well, the social media didn't like this. Well, we didn't like it when you sent those terrorists to do what they did on October 7th, all right? So, I'm sorry, Iran. There's a lot of things you're doing that people don't like killing people, kidnapping people, and blowing things up, blowing people up. There's a lot of things there. But President Trump posts something on True Social. Oh, my goodness, you guys have gone too far. No, so the time is here. They've got to be wiped out. There's, and President Trump has given them every opportunity to do something, do the right thing, and they won't do it. They still act like they're the king of the world and the big man on campus, and they have some incredible military force that they can just unleash havoc with. They've got nothing. So the time has come. They've got to go. In my opinion, but I welcome yours. Okay, we're about a minute away from the radio show starting. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening. Now, this is only one of many things I'm going to be getting into today. I just found something that was so disturbing involving JD Vance that I am sickened by, and I'm going to go over that. There's something new and very strange that I cannot understand going on out of Ukraine and a whole bunch more. I've got a lot of stories to cover. I'm going to get through as many of them as I can on the program. Okay, let's see here. How far away are we? Stand by. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. You are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. I'm Brian Craig, and, of course, this is where MAGA comes to talk, and we've got a lot to talk about. A lot's happening. Something very strange is going on with Zelensky in Ukraine, which I'm going to get to in a few minutes. I just saw a little while ago something so disgusting that's happened with JD Vance that I'm going to get to in a few minutes as well. But here we are, the countdown to President Trump's big decision. Is he going to wipe out Iran? What's going on in Iran, I want to give a little perspective without going through the whole history, because you guys know we've been talking about it for 7-8 weeks now. But this most recent action in Iran has happened for two reasons, but the main one is October 7th. President Trump brokered this Gaza peace deal and put together the Board of Peace to govern and rebuild Gaza. The Board of Peace is made up of all the Muslim countries in the Middle East except Iran, pretty much. Are there any countries that aren't a part of it? Pretty much they all are. All the Muslim leaders except Iran were waiting for the president in Cairo to sign off at the end of the Gaza war. Remember, he went from Israel to Cairo. And they have told him that there will be no peace in the Middle East as long as Iran is out there causing all this terrorism. So, there's many other reasons, but this is the main reason that's a driving force to this. We have had endless peace talks in the Middle East with different groups from the Arafat days till now and a bunch in between, and they've been useless. The fighting always continues. The blowing up of things and people always continue. There's always some violence, and then there's another peace talk, and they go nowhere. And President Trump, he was told by these Middle Eastern nations that we want peace in the Middle East. We could be living great lives over here, but Iran, we got to stop Iran. So that's what he's doing. The leadership in Iran have totally lost their minds. They say they've got new cards to play. They're using Trump phrases now. They're talking about cards to play and everything else. They have some new cards to play on the battlefield. Well, okay. And you see with the total devastation of the Iranian military and infrastructure, and they're still they're still acting like they're this global superpower. In the position they're in now, if they won't come to an agreement on something, what makes you think that they ever will? So what do you think the president should do? Should President Trump wipe out Iran tomorrow? The ceasefire is over Wednesday night. Should President Trump wipe out Iran and get this over with? This 47-year, this half-century of aggravation? Or should he extend the ceasefire? What do you think he should do? You know, these leaders in Iran, they're not very self-aware. I don't think they realize that the only reason they're alive is because President Trump made a decision to keep these leaders alive so that we had someone to negotiate with to sign off on an agreement. So my guess is that the current leadership, including this lunatic from the Revolutionary Guard that is believed to be running the country right now, this major general. Some stories say major general, some say admiral. I don't know. He could be both. What's he an admiral of? Some speedboats that they have left? Running around the Persian Gulf off the coast? I don't know. But my guess is that there is either a major search going on right now to locate him, to blow him up when the ceasefire ends tomorrow night, or they already know where he is and they're going to blow him up as well as the president of Iran and the foreign minister and all of them come Wednesday night. And, you know, President Trump was ready to blow up everything. They said they'd sign a deal, and then they didn't. And then they agreed again 2 days ago, 3 days ago, and now they haven't. They've taken that back too. So what is he to do? It's got to be done. You know, Iran, under this Islamic regime, is a toxic nation. There will never be peace in the world, certainly the Middle East, as long as these lunatics are running Iran. And, you know, you've got to look, the way that President Trump has fought this war is absolutely amazing. Very, very, very limited loss of American life. No boots on the ground. It's being reported that we have more air power in that area than we've ever had, even on day one when we took the first strikes. So the ceasefire has been, what the United States has been doing during the ceasefire is bringing more air power to the area for even more devastating attacks. It was reported on Jesse Waters last night that they've even brought in on one of the aircraft carriers, was the Gerald Ford, I can't remember, what, on some of the ships, some new technologies that the most advanced, overwhelming military weaponry we have has been moved into striking distance of Iran. So it's all there, you know. It's just time for this to end. You know, remember after Watergate, America's national nightmare, the national nightmare. There has been a global nightmare of Iran. You know, this Islamic terrorism that we've had to deal with really has been going on since the Munich Olympics, right? You know, and I don't know if you would consider that the official start of this reign of terror that we've had to deal with radical Islamic terrorism, but it's been going on nonstop. And most all of it for the last half century is all because of Iran. So, you know, do you want to live in a world where lunatics are always launching and creating Islamic terror around the world and in the Middle East and attacking music festivals and taking prisoners and murdering and raping and all that? Or do you want to have peace in the Middle East and turn Gaza into a vacation destination where maybe one day we'll take one of our cruises to? You know, it's enough of this. And I know younger people out there don't have enough life experience and knowledge to understand the problems we've had with Iran. I'm not going to go through the history of the United States and Iran, but it's been, for 47 years, it's been an endless string of attacks by Iran on the United States and our allies. They've killed a lot of Americans, maimed a lot of Americans with the IEDs and Operation Iraqi Freedom, all this stuff. You know, so it's enough. It's just enough. It's got to end. If they're not going to make a deal when they're on the ropes like this, there will never be any dealing with these people. They're insane. And I don't know if they're just willing to go down with the ship here, or if they're out of touch with reality and think that they have the ability to take us on. I don't know. It's very difficult to know, isn't it? It certainly is. So I'd very much like to hear your thoughts. I got a lot to cover. There's something so insane with Zelensky that I'm going to get to in a few minutes that I'm very confused about. And it seems like Zelensky's got a problem here. We're going to get into that. I haven't talked about Zelensky or even heard about Ukraine in some time. This outrageously disgusting thing involving JD Vance that I'm going to jump into after the break, and a whole bunch more. But certainly your thoughts on the Iran situation are welcome. The number is toll-free, no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I'm going to remind you guys, the MyPillow Made in the USA 50% off sale is in effect. And, Mike Lindell, he's been a strong supporter of this program for many, many years. He's done so much to not just support us as by being a sponsor of the program for many, many years, but he's given me great night's sleep for over a decade, and that's life-changing in itself. The Made in the USA sale going on. By the way, it's free shipping on all orders, $100 or more. Covers some of the most popular MyPillow products out there. I have the MyPillow mattress, the MyPillow mattress topper, the MyPillows, the MyPillow towels, the MyPillow sheets, the MyPillow slippers, the MyPillow pet beds, all these products. And I bought all of them except the first MyPillow with the promo code Kane at checkout, and it's just massive savings. Mother's Day is right around the corner. And right after that is Father's Day. And so go to MyPillow.com. You can use our promo code Kane at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 800-716-4879, 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. All right, call us on hold. You stand by. We'll take our first break of this Tuesday morning. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig, back right after this. Okay, we're clear, guys. Yeah, I'm going to go to the phones when we get back, but I want to hear from you guys on both sides of the Iran issue. And I'll tell you another thing. Those of you that don't support Donald Trump, I'd like to hear what your alternative is. And I'm serious about this because all opinions are welcome on this program. No profanity, though. Are we supposed to allow this terrorist state to continue to be in power and back terrorism around the world? What is your alternative to take? We're not talking about civilians. We're talking about the Islamic lunatic theocracy that's running Iran. Are we supposed to leave them in power and allow them to continue committing Islamic terrorism around the world, economic terrorism, using the Strait of Hormuz to strangle the world's oil supply, manipulate prices, economic terror, or should we take them out? I'd love to hear what your alternative is to taking them out. You must have an alternative that makes sense. I don't hear that. I hear all these people that have Trump derangement syndrome and they can't stand Trump, so they're just against it. But I'm not hearing what the solution is from that viewpoint on Iran. That's been nothing but trouble for most of our entire lives, for most of us. All right, hang in there. We got a couple minutes till we're back. Okay, we got about two and a half minutes, and we'll be back. So I'm gonna take the calls when we are back from our break. But if you want to call in, the number's toll free, and it is in the live chat. Now I want to tell you guys, you can use my promo code Kane at checkout. The Easter sale's still there, and you can still take advantage of these great specials. Whatever the special is, you can use my promo code Kane at checkout to purchase. And Mother's Day, there's still time to order for Mother's Day. Still time to order, of course, for Father's Day, which is a month after Mother's Day. Everything Mike Lindell makes is of very high quality and lasts years and years and years. In fact, Out of every item I've ever bought from MyPillow, we still have and use each and every one of them. Nothing wears out. It's things are very high quality, and these prices you're getting. These are the prices Walmart used to get, and since because of his support of the president, he was kicked out of all these retail stores like Walmart and Bed Bath & Beyond and Kohl's and all of them, Home Shopping, QVC. He's giving you that wholesale buyer price that Walmart used to pay with our promo code Kane at checkout. Okay, we got about 90 seconds, and we will be back, and I'll go to your calls, but it's going to happen. Wednesday night, the ceasefire is over, and we shall see. And we'll also get into what's going on in Virginia as the show goes on, and definitely talk tomorrow about Virginia, because things are getting, what the Democrats are doing in Virginia is disgusting. Less than a minute, and we'll be back. It's just disgusting what the Democrats are doing in Virginia. The promo code is, I'll put it in there, Kane. That's right. Okay. About 30 seconds, and we'll be back. For the life of me, I don't understand how some posted truth is so bad when they're blowing people up. I don't get that, the Iranian. Makes no sense. All right, 10 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. You're listening to The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show, on the radio since 1977. Oh, boy. All right, we'll go to the phones, 888-465-2631. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Victor, Silver Spring, Maryland.
Hey, Victor.
And what the Iranians are doing now, they're playing the stall game, hoping that Trump will finally give up, but he won't. And that's all I really had to say.
Well,
I got to call my pillow and get a cat bed for my neighbor.
Oh, they'll love it. They'll love it.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. All right. Make sure you use the promo code Kane.
Here on my pillow.
Yeah. All right. Appreciate the call. Give him a call. All right. Promo code Kane. All right. Yeah. This. Well, let me just take some more calls and I'll tell you what I think. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, Sean from Ohio.
Okay.
Hey, Brian, if you give me 20 seconds, I'm so tired of hearing the media saying Trump doesn't have a plan. He's telling us all what his plan is. He gets elected. He goes around the world building up allies, the GCC, the Gulf of Malacca. He goes in and captures Maduro. He renames the Gulf to the Gulf of America. He renames the Department of Defense to the Department of War. He's taking care of business. He goes to the WEF and tells them all you're ridiculous. Energy is important. And now we're in the process of becoming an energy superpower in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know he has a plan, and he's always telling you what it is.
Nobody sees it.
Well, I see it. You see it.
If you read the book of War, there's a strategy called the madman strategy, where you act like you're crazy to get your enemy to think that you are crazy.
Yeah.
Which is why he got a ceasefire, by telling him he was going to send them back to the Stone Age.
Well, now he's going to have to do it. I mean, and what the Iranians always do is try to drag things out. So I wouldn't be surprised if they came out and pretended they're going to sign something again at the last moment. There's no negotiation. You just sign on the line that is dotted, or you get blown up. That's it.
I think we're in a position now where I don't think we're going to take Carg Island. I think we're going to go right for the command bunker and just take out the whole leadership once and for all.
Yeah, that's it. All right, good points. Appreciate the call from Ohio.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, take care. Now, speaking of Ohio, my home state, I wanted to share this with you. JD Vance, who, of course, is from Ohio. I heard this interview. There's a guy who's running in the Michigan Democrat primary for Senate, a Muslim candidate, Dr. Abdul Saeed. How many Muslims do we have running for office and holding office in this country? I mean, this is, my goodness. And Abdul Saeed, he's a Democrat Senate candidate in Michigan, and he did an interview, and he says some of the most disgusting things you could imagine about JD Vance and his family. And, I want to share this with you. We've got a problem in this country. We shut down our border, and mass deportations have been taking place, and that's great. But all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, it seems every race almost in the country has Muslims running in it. And I don't know who they think they are calling us out on the way that we run our country, but, whatever. So this guy here is a Muslim Senate candidate that the Democrats have in Michigan. He says just terrible things about JD Vance, and in particular his children, even his wife. Listen to this. Oh, hold on here. There we go.
Problem. So I don't think he'll ever be impeached. That's just my opinion.
I mean, look, if I have anything to say about it, I think it's really important to hold him, his family, everybody who profited off of our government accountable. And I think, again, we got to win the argument about why it's so important to do. Because here's the thing about it, right? Like, he's a dumbass. Imagine what happens when you actually get a version of him who's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's talking about Trump here, and they're going to get in the JD.
And I do not want to be in a situation where we've allowed him to get a pass, and that smart version of him comes through and finishes the job.
Yeah,
ending democracy. Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about JD Vance, he has the charisma of a doorknob. So, like, there's that, right? Like, so part of me is just like, JD Vance just doesn't have, like, didn't have, like, he got, like, literally, like, the aura of a toad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you're not winning an election, my friend. Like, yeah. I'm so sorry.
He says the most outlandish things, and I think he's literally just saying it to kind of appease, like, the dorks in the conservative circle.
See, here's the thing, with this is not new with Democrats. The race card is one of the oldest plays, but here you got a guy, he's Muslim. He's got a Muslim beard on. He's running for office in Michigan, which is crazy. Michigan right next door. Michigan and Ohio. It's basically the same thing. And what do they do? Calling us racist?
That
and so which is an absurd claim, calling JD Vance a racist. He's in an interracial relationship. His wife is Indian. His kids are biracial, but he still calls him a racist. What kind of racist does that?
Then clip it and make a funny video on the internet and make a meme. Whenever he speaks, it just comes off like gimmicky. It just comes off like...
Here's the thing, man. What do you think is going through Usha's head when he talks?
The wife.
She's like, damn, I have to sleep with him. I mean, like, I guess she's pregnant, so I guess something's happening. But, like, yeah, like, you got to imagine, like, truly zero charisma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, none, right? And, like, can you imagine, like, he's got brown kids.
Here we go.
At some point, he's going to have a really awkward conversation with his kids. You'll be like, like, you made your career hating people who are different.
People that look like his kids.
Yeah.
Saying, there was a video of him saying that it's completely okay for you to not want your neighbor to not speak English. So I'm thinking, I saw a photo of him at Thanksgiving. They're speaking Hindi.
His kids' grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how you have that conversation with them?
Yeah.
I'm like, part of me is just like, bro, your whole political philosophy is incoherent.
Yeah.
Like, and you're smart enough to know it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. JD Vance is not a dumbass.
Yeah.
JD Vance
he graduated from Yale, no?
He graduated from Yale Law. He's a smart guy. The thing about it is he's like soul corrupt. So, like, you got Donald Trump, who's just an ego with no brain. Then you've got a brain, like, with this, like, soul corruption for power.
Right.
And I don't know which worse. Part of me is like, it must suck to live inside your head to know that your entire politics is incoherent.
Well, it gets worse. I'll play the rest of it here, But, one of the things about JD is he's really the great American success story. He's a guy who came from as poor gets, and he's look where he is, Vice President of the United States, front runner for the nomination, right, to be the second MAGA president, and he's also a millionaire. I mean, it's pretty amazing story. It's a Rocky story.
With the way you live your life. How do you deal with that every day? Like, there's a cognitive dissonance that comes out and, like, maybe it just sucks out his charisma. I don't know.
Like, huge cognitive dissonance. Just absolutely.
He's got to look at his kids and be like, yeah, those are brown kids. They're mine. You know what I mean? And I had brown kids. I have brown kids. I love my brown kids. And I think my brown kids are just as American as everyone else. JD Vance has brown kids who thinks he thinks are less American than everyone else. Like, that's wild to look at your own kids and be like, you don't actually belong as much in this country that I brought you into.
Yeah, that's so sad.
How do you, like, part of me is just like, bro, like, it must break you every time you, like, hug your own kids. Like, I'm so sorry.
One of these days, we're going to see the kids that are going to grow up and we're going to hear from them. We're going to hear their story.
We are. And you know, the funny thing about it is, JD Vance is his kids are probably going to grow up and, like, do everything they can to undo his politics. I mean, and I hope they will, right? Honestly, because they'll be more coherent than he will.
True. I mean,
you know, and these two guys, so you got a Muslim guy and a black guy sitting around talking about how racist JD Vance is. He's the one in an interracial relationship with interracial children, okay? And what they're doing is racially stereotyping him. He's a white, Christian, Republican male, so he's all these things that they have projected on him. This is textbook racial stereotyping and racism from the Muslim and the black guy sitting here. It's bizarre. They don't even see it.
that is true.
And honestly, like, JD Vance's kids, I love you. Like, Usha, like, get out, okay? Still got time.
Vance, if I know you're going to see this, do not sue me, all right? I didn't know he was going to talk about you like this. I had no idea.
At the end of the day, like, you know, I'm just trying to tell everybody what's probably going on in your head. Like, you can come out and say, I'm sure you probably have JD Vance here if he wants to come on the show. He can come to you and he can explain what he's feeling when he looks at his brown kids and about how he's going to explain to them why his entire political philosophy is inconsistent with their existence.
Wow.
That's crazy. So, you know, where's the real racism? The real racism comes from liberals who are minorities. In this instance, a Muslim and a black man sitting around throwing all these negative stereotypes on a white guy because he's a Republican. They're the racist, without question. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. My name is Brian. This is The Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. We'll take our break for the bottom of the hour, come back with more calls and a lot more right after this. All right, we're clear, guys. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free and is pinned in the live chat, all right? 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We'll take a quick break here. We'll be back, and we'll get to some calls in just a bit.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
What if the business you built to give you freedom is the very thing trapping you? Author Rosa Garor challenges the hustle culture myth that success requires exhaustion. Instead, she shows you how to build a business that actually supports your life, not consumes it, in the must-read book, Entrepreneur, How to Build a Thriving Business Without Burning Out Your Life. Available on Amazon. If you're tired of long hours, constant stress, and feeling like your success comes at the cost of your health, your family, and your peace of mind, Entrepreneur offers a different path. With this must-read and life-changing book, you'll discover practical frameworks, real-world actionable insights, as well as powerful strategies to help you reclaim your time, redesign your business, and create sustainable success without burnout. Whether you're just starting out or already running a business that feels overwhelming, Entrepreneur can help you build smarter, live better, and succeed without sacrificing what matters most. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, author and free with Kindle Unlimited. Stop building a business that traps you and start building one that sets you free with Entrepreneur, How to Build a Thriving Business Without Burning Out Your Life, from author Rosa Garor, on Amazon.
All right, we're just over a minute from coming back, and I'm going to go back to the phones, and this just strange story about Zelensky that I got to share with you. I want to remind you guys, if you'd like to support my content, become a Patreon supporter. There's a link in the description. And I added something new. If you become an elite member of my Patreon group, you get my cell phone number, which I'm limiting to a certain number of people, okay? And it'll text right here to my phone, and I will answer your text. So you'll see that. The Patreon link is in the description. No, I'm serious. You check it out. You get my cell phone. All right, we got about 30 seconds, so we'll be back. If you're on hold, stand by. Hang in there. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. Good morning. My name's Andrew. I'm from Arkansas.
Hey, Andrew.
Man, appreciate you taking my call. I wanted to ask you a question. Are you aware of a guy named Juan O. Sabin?
Not offhand, no.
So that name hasn't reached your ears at all. Okay. Well, I'm interested because there's this large community of like I would say military professionals and private sector professionals that have created an intelligence panel, and they call themselves, they're under the JMC Broadcasting Network, but there's a considerable amount of people now that have come forward and told us that this whole idea of, it's the Q-tard logic. There's white hats that have been planning this for a long time.
Planning what?
This great reset, an oppositional reset to the New World Order's reset. Have you heard of any of this?
Yeah, it sounds a little bizarre to me. What President Trump is, President Trump, the MAGA movement, led by President Trump, founded by President Trump, is a counter-revolutionary movement, right? And right. This country, I don't worry about the New World Order. Europe, please. The New World Order based out of Europe mainly. Europe's fallen. It's part of it's this Islamic continent now, right? There may be more Muslims in Europe than in the Middle East. I don't know, but at least they're catching up. They're working hard to catch up. So I worry about here, not the world. And this country, we've been led by a lot of corrupt public officials, all of them on the table, like John Thune. Like here we got Thune in the Senate who won't bring up the Save America Act, right? He won't bring that up for a vote, using the filibuster as an excuse. I'm more worried about those people than white hats and other hats and vest and New World Order stuff. I'm worried more about here.
Yeah, I think that's a good take on it, because I try to stay based about it. I try to kind of keep my finger on the litmus of the patriot community, and I like the idea that there are men who have invested most of their lives into serving our country, and now they've stepped into the fast.
Well, patriot is such a loose term. Listen, James Comey thinks he's a patriot. Alexander Vindman thinks he's a patriot, right? All these Brennan. He thinks he's a patriot, people going around calling themselves patriots all the time, that's a very loose term.
Right. And these men, to me, they're only patriots because they've sacrificed their life to serve our country.
Well, if they sacrifice, who sacrificed their? Who are you? If someone sacrificed their life, how are they speaking out?
Hold up, brother.
They'd be dead if they sacrificed their life.
Okay, I can grant you that. But I wanted to point out why would they be grifting this Q-tard story still after so many years?
I don't know who or what you're talking about. It sounds like you're part of this community just trying to get some free publicity for it, because I'm not talking about that, and no matter what I say, you keep going back to it. I don't know who these people are.
It kind of sounds like you're gatekeeping me at this point.
No, listen, this is how the show works, okay? On Friday, we have open phones. You can call in about any and everything you want on Friday. We call it Open Mag and Mike Friday. Monday through Thursday, you got to talk about what we want to talk. This is a show. We don't just throw open the phones and say, hey, random people call in and take over the show. That's not a show. That's a madhouse.
So you're really just telling me right now that you disagree with this so much that you think I'm taking over the show.
No, what I'm saying, I'm not agreeing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And I would say go check out JMC Broadcasting.
See what I mean with the promotion?
I love what you're talking about.
Yeah, with the free, all right, enough with the free promotions. My goodness. Please. And there's this, people going around calling themselves patriots all the time. You don't hear me doing that. And it's not that I don't think of myself as a patriotic person, because most certainly I am. But I think it's a little arrogant to go around calling yourself a patriot all the time. And I'll tell you, I don't have a lot of tolerance for people that I don't mind if somebody wants to promote themselves, but don't call in and pretend to be a part of the program. That guy, I don't know who that guy was, but good chance he's a part of that community that he's talking about, right? Of trying to promote this show somewhere, because he's a little too articulate just to be some random caller who listens to them. You understand what I mean? And I don't appreciate the dishonesty of that. You don't hear me going to other shows and promoting myself, right? If I go on another show, I might be an invited guest or something, but I just don't really appreciate that. And so far as gatekeeper, there's a misunderstanding of freedom of speech. And if I just we don't take calls just to turn the show over to people out there. Even on Fridays, when it's open phones, you got to have some quality control. That's not doing a show. That just makes me some phone operator out of India or something. Tech support, you're on the air, take over. That's not what we do here. All right, well, let me get back on track of what we do here. And that is, of course, talk about what's going on in the world. There's a story about Zelensky that, to me, is completely insane. Listen to this. And this is being reported. Listen to this. Zelensky, he said this yesterday in an interview. Zelensky says this damaged pipeline, I'm not even sure how to pronounce it. It's all these Ukrainian and Russian words. But the damaged pipeline that carries Russian oil to Eastern European countries, he is going to restore it to operation by the end of the month. And this is being reported by Reuters and many other places. So Zelensky said yesterday that he is restoring an oil pipeline of oil going from Russia to Eastern European countries, including Hungary, now that Orban's gone. He is at war with Russia, right? The war didn't end. They didn't have some peace treaty I missed. Why would Zelensky restore a major source of income to Russia that he's fighting against? That seems to be the opposite of war. When you're at war against another country, especially one that is so overwhelmingly larger than you don't want to keep their money coming in. You want to try to cut their money off. And to me, there seems to be a conflict. If you're at war against a country, you're fighting a war, people are dying every day, why would you restore a major source of revenue, an oil pipeline from Putin to Eastern Europe, where he's going to make, I don't know how many millions of dollars a day, that he's using to buy weapons to fight you with and kill your people with? That seems very bizarre. When I saw this, I couldn't believe it. He's restoring the flow of Russian oil to Eastern Europe. And this is a major pipeline. If you're at war against Russia, you want the pipeline cut off. What am I missing here? What am I missing here with Zelensky? I think he's got some explaining to do. Are you at war with Putin or not? Are you at war with Russia or not? Because right now, it looks like Zelensky is giving aid and comfort to the enemy. And it seems to me, that Zelensky is creating treason. He's committing treason against his own country by this very act. It's insane. If it wasn't Reuters or another well-known news source, I wouldn't even believe it because it seems so ridiculous. But it's true. All right, we're going to take our last break of the first hour. And when we get back, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll take some more calls, and I got a lot more to cover as well. My name is Brian. This is The Steve Kane Show. Our number is toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Do you have neuropathy? You may have neuropathy and don't even know it. If you have any of these symptoms, you very well may have neuropathy. Numbness, pain, burning, tingling in your hands and feet, muscle weakness, dizziness. Are you falling down all the time? Muscle twitching. Do you have the feeling of pins and needles in your hands and feet? Do you have no feeling at all in your hands and feet? If you have any of these symptoms, you may have neuropathy. And if you have neuropathy, you know it's living torture, isn't it? Call Lighthouse Medical. Lighthouse Medical has a treatment for neuropathy that works. They rid Steve Kane of his neuropathy symptoms over 3.5 years ago. He saw relief after the first treatment, and over 3.5 years later, his neuropathy symptoms have not returned. So Lighthouse Medical has a neuropathy treatment that works and lasts. They can help you no matter where you're located in the world. You don't have to go into their office to have them treat you. If you have any of those symptoms and you've not yet been diagnosed, call them. Find out if you have neuropathy. When you call, make sure you mention you heard about them on the Steve Kane Show so you can take advantage of the no-charge consultation. Now, if you're local, please feel free to make that appointment to go in person if you can. They're in Pompano. The number is 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name's Brian. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. So give me a yes or no. Do you think that guy was with that show trying to get promotion for them? What do you guys think? Yes or no? He seemed a little too articulate to me to just be some random listener of theirs. Is he a part of, do you think he's a part of that show trying to get free publicity? Yes or no? Be right back.
You've heard the headlines, but you haven't heard the truth. But you will when you tune into Unheard, True Crime in Their Own Words, the podcast that goes beyond the story and gives the mic to the people who lived it. Hosted by Justin Shepard, Unheard isn't about sensationalism. It's about real voices, the voices of survivors, families, investigators, and insiders, people whose stories were buried, overlooked, or never fully told. Each episode of Unheard pulls you inside the reality behind the case. It's raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. From shocking revelations to conversations that challenge what you thought you knew, this is true crime without the filter, because everyone has a story and everyone deserves to be heard. Listen to Unheard, True Crime in Their Own Words on Apple Podcast, your favorite podcast platform, and YouTube. Just search Just in the Nick of Crime on YouTube and start listening right now. Unheard, True Crime in Their Own Words with host Justin Shepard. The truth sounds different when you hear it firsthand. What if the obstacle you were born with became the strength that defined your success? From author Shahzad Nawab comes the powerful must-read true story, Born Deaf to an MBE, available on Amazon. This is an inspiring journey of determination, entrepreneurship, and the unstoppable power of belief. Born without hearing, the author refused to accept the limits others tried to place on him. Instead, he turned adversity into motivation, building success through hard work, resilience, and an unshakable belief in his own potential. Born Deaf to an MBE is about overcoming challenges. It's also about mindset, ambition, and proving that no barrier is stronger than the human spirit. Born Deaf to an MBE is a must-read for anyone chasing a dream, building a business, or searching for the courage to keep going. Discover how one man transformed obstacles into opportunity and created awareness in a hearing world. Born Deaf to an MBE from author Shahzad Nawab is available right now on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. This book also makes a great addition to your book club. Order your copy right now.
All right, we've got about 40 seconds till we're back. I asked that question, was that guy real, or do you think he was a part of that show trying to get free publicity? Yes or no? Everyone said yes. I didn't see anyone who didn't say yes. Yeah, don't insult me like that. I can be reached. You can contact me, and I'll check out a show and maybe offer you a promotion or do some cross promotion. But don't call in and pretend, well, I'm listening to this show and you got to check it out here. Acting surprised that I haven't heard of it. My goodness. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Okay, so, got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, back to Iran a little bit. We've got so much to cover. Those of you on hold, hang in there, and certainly your opinions are welcome on anything I brought up so far. It's 888-465-2631. I did a little bit of a poll during the break in my live chat on YouTube. I asked people if they thought that caller was a real listener of that show he was trying to promote or connected to it, trying to get them publicity. Every single person said yes, no no's. Yeah, see, I got a good eye, a good ear, and a good nose for all of that stuff. Welcome back, everyone. All right, so the countdown to what President Trump's going to do with Iran is here. And, the pattern of Iran is always to come in at the last moment and try to buy time. And is President Trump going to accept that this time? He did that once a couple weeks ago. We had the ceasefire, and the time's over for that, isn't it? I want to play. This is Brett Baer last night, and Susan Page made some good points on the Brett Baer panel about Iran.
Susan, The Economist writes it this way: which Iran is America dealing with? The conflicting messages coming out of Iran are a sign of something significant. A power struggle is underway in the Islamic Republic. Iranian delegations dispatched for talks with America are usually lean, disciplined, and tightly briefed. The Islamabad one was anything but. Their arguments were so ferocious that Pakistani mediators are reported to have spent as much time refereeing among the Iranians as engaging the Americans. One side is political with words. The other side has guns, the IRGC, and they are using them.
That's right. And, it's clear that President Trump wants to make a deal, is ready to make a deal. Some of the Iranians are ready to make a deal, but not others. The problem I think that President Trump has is while we have this incredible military superiority, they have the leverage of time, because Iran does not need to pay very much attention to the concerns of the Iranian public about this war. But President Trump needs to pay some concern to the views of Americans, and 2/3 of Americans want this war over, don't think it was a good idea from the start.
Okay, I don't know about her poll there, because the most recent polls I've seen on CNN, 95% of MAGA Republicans support President Trump's war efforts in Iran, and about 85% of Republicans as a whole support it. So it doesn't matter what Democrats think, because, we're dealing with, just the Republicans are the only ones that are going to vote for Trump-endorsed candidates in the midterms. But this is the thing, Susan Page, she says one thing that's right. The Iranians, they don't have to worry about public opinion because it's a theocracy and dictatorship they've had over there. But this is where I think all the analysts are wrong. I don't think President Trump wants a deal. I think he wants to kill them all. Don't you? I don't think he wants it. And by the way, that's not a bad thing. When I say kill them all, I'm not talking about the civilians. I'm talking about their crazy leaders. Because no matter, even if they signed a deal, would they abide by it? Of course not. They might go through the motions, maybe, but they might not even do that. if they signed a deal, it would only be out of desperation to try to restart the clock and drag things out even more. That's their entire tactic. And they have tried to kill him on multiple occasions. President Trump said a few weeks ago that on at least 2 occasions, there were assassination attempts on him by the Iranians. Okay, so I don't think he wants to deal with them. I think he's doing this he's bending over backwards, giving them opportunity after opportunity, so that when he finally goes in and wipes them out, the world will see he gave them every chance and they wouldn't do it. So we went to wipe them out. All right, now, this is something I would not normally cover, but it's all over the news, and I've seen this on Fox so many times over the last couple of weeks. This show Euphoria that Sydney Sweeney is in. Now, I had no idea that Sydney Sweeney was in this show Euphoria. It's on HBO Max. I thought she was a movie star, and when I heard she was, they started these stories about her in Euphoria this season, I thought she was like guest starring this season, and she's always been in Euphoria. I had no idea. I guess, was she a Euphoria star before a movie star? I don't know. I watched one of her movies on the cruise. I was in my cabin, and, you get all these free on-demand movies, and I watched that Housemaid movie, and her acting is not movie star quality. I mean, it is less than mediocre acting. And although the movie was okay, I would say the movie was okay, despite her acting. She's not hired for her acting abilities. But this Euphoria, there have just been terrible reviews and stories about it. And here's a headline on Fox this morning. Euphoria slammed as fetish slop as backlash explodes and fans call for cancellation. And there's a lot of talk that the directors and producers and creators of Euphoria are trying to humiliate Sydney Sweeney because she's been identified as conservative and that jeans ad and all this stuff. I don't know. I've seen some of the stories and a couple of screenshots on X over the last couple weeks, and but I think what's happened here, this is the second time I've seen this. This is what I call negative marketing. I've never watched Euphoria. I don't even have HBO Max anymore. I canceled it recently. I had not watched it in so long, and I had no idea she was in it. But how many people have subscribed to HBO Max and are watching Euphoria now that never watched it before or never even had HBO Max, right? Which is a monthly membership. I would imagine a lot. And this is negative. And notice all the stories are about all the graphic nude and sex scenes Sydney Sweeney's in, right? So, they're basically advertising, and it's coming off as negative, but is it really negative? I mean, the show, from everything I've read about this show, it's X-rated pornography. And all the stories, what they get down to is, if you watch Euphoria, you're going to see Sydney Sweeney naked and having sex. So this is, and everyone's talking about it in the media for like 2-3 weeks now. It's negative marketing. I saw this once before and for the first time last year with Cracker Barrel, and I didn't realize till it was over what was going on, and I talked about it at the time. Cracker Barrel, their business has been way down over the last several years. Their business is basically pull off the highway on a long drive and eat a Cracker Barrel. And their business has been down, and it's been down for a number of reasons. Some people think because of DoorDash and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, that may have had an impact, but I don't think it's DoorDash and all of that. They have competition, like Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is like a tourist stop now, and there's some other places too, like Buc-ee's. But Buc-ee's, everybody on the road now wants to go to Buc-ee's, right? You ever been to Buc-ee's? They do a lot of good hype, and I've been to 2 Buc-ee's. There's 2 in Florida now, at least on the East Coast, and I've been to both of them. And they're building one on the Treasure Coast. Is it Fort Pierce they're building the new Buc-ee's? And whenever the new Buc-ee's opens on the Treasure Coast, you're going to see endless news stories about it. And I'll probably even go and make a YouTube video about it myself, and that's why Cracker Barrel's in trouble. For the first time, they really have competition, because it used to be if you got off the highway, you had McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A, or Cracker Barrel. And Cracker Barrel's just had, So they came in with this story that they're replacing their logo. They remodeled 1 or 2 of their restaurants and claimed they were going to remodel all of them, getting rid of the Americana look. There was massive publicity like Euphoria is getting. It was all negative. And they announced they're going to change. They're going to stay with the classic Cracker Barrel. And then, boom, they had tons of business. And they didn't fire the CEO, the lady that was running the company. Right? It's a risky marketing technique, but it's the new way to get free publicity for your business to go viral is this negative. And that's what Euphoria is doing. Okay? I don't think that the producers are humiliating Sydney Sweeney because she's been identified as MAGA in that jeans commercial. I think Sydney Sweeney loves getting naked on screen and loves having sex on camera. I think she's got the fetish and she enjoys doing it. And that's how she gets all her acting roles. She may be conservative, she may be MAGA, that's fine, but it doesn't mean... I mean, look at the labor secretary. Look at Kristi Noem and her husband, okay? We have some female, perverts in the MAGA movement, obviously, right? And sex fanatics. It's not unusual. But, all this moral outrage, it's ridiculous. Sloman's Home Security is offering a free home security system with free professional installation and 24/7 central station monitoring. You get all that for just $24.95 a month, and you're locked in at that $24.95 a month price for 5 years. It's a free home security system and professional installation absolutely free. Your Sloman's Home Security system includes a touchscreen keypad, 3 door or window sensors, a motion detector, notifications, and remote keypad access. Give them a call right now, no matter where you're located. This makes a great Mother's Day gift for your mom, for your grandma, for your adult daughters, or for your own home. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. All right, it's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Callers on hold, hang in there. Your calls are welcome at 888-465-2631. We'll take our break for the top of the hour and be right back. Don't go anywhere. What do you guys think about my Euphoria Sydney Sweeney theory? That it is just a publicity stunt by HBO to get people to watch it and subscribe to HBO Max. I think it's pretty obvious, don't you? Come on.
There's a lot of noise out there about what it means to be a man today. On one side, the extremes. On the other, a culture that tells you that masculinity itself is the problem. So where's the middle ground? On the Dang Man Podcast. Join the Hart Brothers. They're 3 down-to-earth Midwestern guys who have real conversations about modern masculinity without the hype, without the shame, and without the nonsense. Dang Man covers everything from breaking down the truth about testosterone and men's health to exploring practical skills like self-sufficiency and food preservation, as well as discussing books, role models, and the habits that actually make them better. Dang Man is about growth, responsibility, and purpose, not perfection. If you've ever felt caught between 2 worlds and wondered what being a man really looks like, you're not alone, and the Dang Man Podcast is for you. Add the Dang Man Podcast to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcast. What if the answers you've been searching for weren't in this world alone? From author Sharuko Taifa comes a powerful, visionary, and must-read novel, The Madman of Sanaa, available on Amazon. When Adam's life falls apart, he's left with only one final message: go to Sanaa. What he finds there will change everything. A wandering figure others call mad, a city filled with secrets, and a journey that doesn't follow the rules of time or reality. Across distant eras and unimaginable unimaginable places, Adam is drawn into a search for truth about love, consciousness, and the very nature of the soul. Blending mysticism, philosophy, and a sense of wonder, this is not just a story, it's an experience, a journey that challenges what you believe and invites you to see existence in a whole new way. If you've ever questioned reality, if you've ever searched for something deeper, The Madman of Sanaa is waiting for you. Order your copy right now on Amazon, in Kindle, paperback, and free with Kindle Unlimited. Step beyond the limits of time and discover what lies on the other side. The Madman of Sanaa, from author Sharuko Taifa, on Amazon.
All right, stand by, guys. We got about 2 minutes till we're back. If you're on hold, hang in there. And I've got so much to cover. So much to cover. And if you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. It's toll-free no matter where you are listening. 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. Toll-free call. And you're welcome to call in about anything I've brought up so far on the program. Oh, man. Hang in there. Okay. I'm just hearing from Mike, the board up. Let me know we're coming back. All right. Okay, we got about 1 minute, and we will be back. I'm going to shift gears when we get back. I've got so much to go through that just the last 24 hours, we've had like a week's worth of news in the last day. And I'm trying to get to some of the more important things. By the way, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this Zelensky story. Why is Zelensky restoring a Russian pipeline, putting money in Putin's pocket? With what? Why is he? Doesn't he want Putin not to have money to wage war against him? That is so bizarre, and there's no media coverage of it. Reuters has it, so everybody gets the Reuters. So it's not like it's a secret, but they don't want you to know that. That's the opposite of what the president of Ukraine should be doing. All right, here we go. All right, the 7 o'clock hour has begun. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Tucker Carlson had a special guest on his podcast yesterday, his brother Buckley. And there's no blue blood name more blue blood than Buckley, right? And him and his brother, I want to play this clip in a moment, but Tucker Carlson, he's getting called out by everyone, including the president. And so he had Buckley Carlson on, his brother, and he and Buckley are sitting around talking about the regret they have and the responsibility they have in putting Trump in power. It's bizarre to me. Two very self-important, self-inflating blue blood balloons. Here's Tucker Carlson with his blue blood brother Buckley.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
Implicated in what? Making America great again? I don't understand. Don't you want to be? That's a good thing to be implicated in, is making America great again.
You and
see, now that Tucker's been called out, right? And he can't pick up the phone and get the president on the phone. All of a sudden, he's a villain.
You and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like, in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences. We'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be.
What is there? I mean, I want you to explain this to me. You supported the president. Buckley, I did not know this, apparently wrote speeches for Trump, okay? I don't know, maybe I've heard that before. It sounds somewhat familiar. What are they responsible for that's bad? What is there to regret in support of President Trump?
And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people.
Oh, my goodness.
It was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, the question does present itself immediately, like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
What are they talking about? There were signs of low character with Donald Trump. What signs were these, and what low character does he have? This is what happens when you hate someone, right? When you hate someone, everything about them, you see it in a negative. They can't do anything right by you. And Tucker was publicly humiliated by the president in that post a couple weeks ago on True Social. So now all of a sudden he's bad.
But it didn't. There are tons of people of low character who like outperform their character. It doesn't have to be
sort of the norm, actually, these days. I would say
I've outperformed my character a lot. I don't have especially high character, right? But you try your best. But what was this? Was this always the plan?
Looking back after the last year and a half, it seems like it kind of was, and it's easy. Well, you could get really deep about it, and
this is Buckley.
Say, what was Butler? Like, how was it that and Ryan Ruth? I mean, he was subject to 2 legitimate assassination attempts. Have we ever gotten to the bottom? I know you've talked a lot about this, but have we ever gotten to the bottom of that?
I haven't talked a lot about it. I don't know the answer, but I know that those investigations have been stymied. Fact.
Yeah, stymied from the very top, from people who actually would have the power to get to the bottom of it.
And the motive.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Very much. So the enormous amount of money he got from Miriam Adelson now seems suspect to a lot of people at the time. But, there's a lot of money in politics. To run for president requires an enormous,
Jewish money.
Kathleen Cameltoe went through $2 billion in 4 months. So, sure, there's an argument to be made that you get money from those who will give it to you. It's just the nature of that game. But it's still reprehensible, and it's still a big question mark.
Don't you love these rich guys who think money's bad? You got 2 rich guys here telling us that people that have money are bad. I mean, people that take, and the whole question, this is, Patrick Bet-David threw this challenge out to Tucker, is where's Tucker getting his money these days?
Why would someone who has obvious and demonstrated allegiance to a foreign power?
See, this is the vast Jewish conspiracy. Again, that he owes an allegiance to Israel. This is the theme.
Question mark, why would someone who has obvious and demonstrated allegiance to a foreign power give Donald Trump $250 million while he's running for president? I mean, how is that defensible? It's really not. If Russia had given a PAC for Trump, if the mayor of Moscow had somehow, assembled an enormous amount of money and put it in a 501c3 for Trump's benefit, would that have been acceptable? Of course it wouldn't have been. So what does it's so basic, comes back to the money. Like, what did they get in return for that amount of investment? And it's clear.
I get it. No, I mean, of course, I agree with every word that you're saying. I just think, given his behavior and his demonstrated disloyalty and viciousness to previous supporters,
yes,
why wouldn't he display the same lack of loyalty to Miriam Adelson? I mean, that's kind of the question. The only people he's been loyal to are the neocons and his donors.
Oh boy, this is the thing, okay, about Tucker, and this is going to get a lot of play today, because this was from Tucker's podcast yesterday, so it's going to get a lot of play today. Not on Fox, because they're not going to play anything or talk about anything involving Tucker, but everywhere else, this is going to get a lot of play, because they, the anti-Trump mainstream media love it when conservatives attack Trump. That gives credibility to the MAGA divide narrative they're trying to get. Tucker Carlson has a long history of not being a Trump supporter. In fact, when he was on Fox News, prior to that, when he did the story on January 6th, MAGA people did not like Tucker. He was never a Trump supporter. And what happened when he got fired by Fox and he was out of work and had nowhere to go. Charlie Kirk brought him into Turning Point, and he began speaking at Turning Point events. And because MAGA conservatives at that time were not fans of Fox. Remember, you got to remember, Fox News, like the left-wing media had taken after. Remember, Neil Cavuto had cut off Trump when he was president still after January 6th, wouldn't let him on the air because he was afraid of what he would say. Tucker was never supportive of Donald Trump. In fact, text messages of Tucker Carlson's on January 6th became public, and he was using profanity with Trump and blaming him. And so MAGA people never, when Tucker was on Fox at night, were supporters of him because he was an anti-Trump person. Remember, in Trump's first term, he didn't think Trump handled COVID properly. Remember all that stuff? But he was embraced by MAGA in the in-between time, right? The autopin time, because he'd been fired by Fox. All this was going on with Trump. People were trying to put him in prison. They were trying to assassinate Trump. And he was embraced by MAGA when he was on the outs from Fox. So Tucker Carlson was never a supporter of Trump. He was using Trump in the MAGA movement to get this podcast and everything that he's doing now off the ground after he was fired by Fox. Because he didn't have all this stuff going for him when he was at Fox. After he left Fox, he used the MAGA movement to build up a following for what he's doing now. So this idea that he was a Trump supporter is absurd. He was using Trump and the MAGA movement to build up something post Fox News's firing. I mean, that so and I don't know about Buckley, seeing another very self-important blue blood, but Tucker Carlson's son is no longer working for JD Vance, and so he was obviously shown the door. That was a big problem because JD Vance. There's no way MAGA was not going to make an issue of that. JD Vance didn't think that, and the people around him obviously didn't think it was a good idea to have Tucker Carlson's son working at the White House for the vice president. So Tucker's on the outs with Trump. His son is on the outs with JD Vance, the vice president, and maybe the second MAGA president. So, of course, this family has come together as one. They're a strong family against President Trump. And you've got you've got them out there throwing conspiracy theories out there about Butler and everything else. All right, now listen. I want to talk about Jupiter Joe Thomas. Jupiter Joe Thomas, he offers a free phone consultation or in-person meeting, right? So if you're out of town, you can do it over the phone or through Zoom. But if you're local, of course, please go to his office in Jupiter and meet with him face-to-face. And, that no-charge consultation, there's a lot of value in that. And there's no obligation. Just meet with Jupiter Joe Thomas. Tell him your situation. Tell him what your goals are. And he'll share with you how he can help you in your retirement with annuities. He'll put together a custom proposal to you. But there's a lot of value in that no-charge consultation. Joe Thomas has over 30 years of experience as a financial planner, and he's also a 5-time qualifying member of the $1 Million Roundtable, which is achieved by fewer than 1% of all financial advisors in the world. So he's a top man in the financial advising industry, and he's offering you a free consultation. There's a lot of value in that you should take advantage of. And let him share with you how he can help you in your retirement. We got a new commercial running. Joan from Tampa, she just called me on the air, and she met with Joe Thomas, took advantage of the no-charge consultation, decided to go with him with annuities, and she said when she found out what she's getting every month, she about fell out of her chair. And you could tell it's life-changing. Now she doesn't have to worry about money in her retirement. Give Joe Thomas a call, no matter where you are, and schedule your no-charge consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And online, jupiterjoe.com. Callers on hold, you stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. I think most of you agree with me that Tucker was never MAGA, right? Doesn't most everyone agree with that? I think so. I mean, how could you not? How could you not? Right? Yeah. And what I said about how he used MAGA after he was fired by Fox, no question in my mind. That's what he did, was use this when he was fired by Fox to build up what he has now. Hold on a second here. Let's see. You know, that's what he did. It's obvious, right? And he's got his thing, and he's found some sugar daddies somewhere, and he doesn't need the MAGA movement anymore. That's, you know, it's obvious as the day is long. If you're on hold, stand by. We're in radio station break, and when we get back from the break, I'll take the calls, okay? But we got a couple minutes till we're back, so I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
What if luxury didn't have to feel out of reach, but instead felt personal, effortless, and completely you? That's what you will find at Lila Ray Jewelry. Founded by Rebecca Zaltis, who's drawn upon her over a decade of experience at a family-owned jeweler known for exquisite diamonds and custom designs. Lila Ray Jewelry brings that same artistry into stunning wearable pieces, crafted in sterling silver and gold vermeil. Inspired by the vibrant color of Rebecca's childhood and the breathtaking hues of Cape Cod, as well as Shelter Island beaches, the Lila Ray Jewelry Collection blends colorful expression with timeless elegance. These are pieces designed to stand out, yet fit seamlessly into your everyday life. Lila Ray Jewelry is where beauty meets accessibility. You'll find high-end designer-inspired styles that are budget-friendly without ever sacrificing quality, detail, or versatility. Because true luxury isn't about the price tag, it's about how it makes you feel. Every piece at Lila Ray Jewelry is thoughtfully created to help you express your unique style in a way that's fun, effortless, and unmistakably yours. Discover jewelry that's classic, colorful, and made for real life. Go right now to shoplilaray.com. That's shop, LILARAE.com. View the collection. You will be impressed. You'll also find great gifts and find that perfect piece that speaks to you. shoplilaray.com. What if your most treasured memories could live forever? They can with Art to Your Life on Etsy, where photos don't just stay on your phone, they become stunning, hand-painted oil masterpieces. Art to Your Life was founded by Vicky, a professionally trained painter with a passion for realism and rich, vibrant color. Along with a team of talented artists, Vicky transforms your photos, family portraits, wedding pictures, even beloved pets into museum-quality works of art. This isn't print, and it isn't digital. Every painting is created by hand, brushstroke by brushstroke, on fine linen canvas. Want to see yourself in a classic masterpiece or turn your pet into a royal portrait? At Art to Your Life on Etsy, anything is possible. The process is simple too. You send in your photo, approve a custom design, and your memory is brought to life, and they ship worldwide. Turn your memories into timeless art right now and visit arttoyourlife.etsy.com and create something that will last for generations. arttoyourlife.etsy.com.
All right, just over a minute, and we'll be back. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll go to the phones when we get back, okay? Just over a minute. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, and it is pinned in the live chat. Okay. A little more than 30 seconds and we'll be back. Stand by. All right, we're back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Richie, Brian.
Oh, hey, Richie.
You know what? I just heard Tucker's little brother that you played that little part.
Buckley.
What the little anti-Semite listens to the big brother anti-Semite, the biggest anti-Semite that's become, and he's a Jew hater. So is Tucker Carlson.
Yep.
It's so damn obvious. I mean, the Candace Owens, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the whole group of them. Okay. Here's the deal, I want people out there to think about this. First of all, President Trump is an independent thinker. He is not listening to Netanyahu. He's actually put Netanyahu in his place how many times? This decision was solely about the United States of America, not about Israel. And when you throw out these little tidbits, well, one of the biggest contributors who happens to be Jewish, okay, Miriam Edelson, I believe her name is.
Yeah, Adelson,
Dave Adelson. Okay, here's the deal, folks. Her husband and President Trump been friends for so many years. They were both builders. He built the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. Okay, he happens to be Jewish and he happens to be a supporter of Israel. But he's an American citizen and he has the right to contribute any amount of money he wants to the President of the United States, just like anyone else, any other corporation.
Well, they're immediately, the Carlson family are immediately suspicious of anyone who's a Jew.
100%. She's an American citizen and a wealthy woman who has a right to contribute. They've been lifelong friends, these people. I mean, it's not like they became friends yesterday. And all of a sudden so this is all propaganda. What went on to colleges and through the streets of New York and everywhere else and Australia all over the place with Hamas and Gaza and all this and genocide, all Iranian propaganda.
Exactly.
150%. I would rather be associated with Israel any day of the week than Iran.
Well,
and I don't know
let me tell you something one thing that's different with Trump in the second term than the first is he's not trying to win over media people, whether they're fake news liberals or conservatives. And a lot of these people are used to being sucked up to by politicians and having their butts kissed and everything else. And he in the first term, President Trump spent a lot of time trying to convince members of the media that he was right about certain things. And I mean, remember during the COVID press conferences, sometimes he would talk to Jim Acosta for an hour in a press conference, back and forth, right?
Yeah.
And this term, he's not trying to convince people in the media anymore. That's it.
Right. You're 100% right. But you realize what this is, an attack on Israel. You know what that basically is, an attack on this country? Do you really know what it really is? It's not even an attack on Israel. It's an attack on Christians.
Yeah.
Because Christians back Israel. There's been an attack on Christianity in this country by this left-wing communist takeover, Muslim takeover, trying of the country. It's you can look at it in Europe. Christianity in Europe is slowly going off the vine, and Muslims
Richie,
are moving in.
What I've realized with Candace Owens' rise to fame after she left the Daily Wire, she became this big anti-Israel, anti-Semite, right, Candace Owens? And a lot of these,
all Jew haters.
Yeah, a lot of these people, Tucker, Megyn Kelly, and a few others, they want that audience. So they're saying and doing things to get that anti-Israel, anti-Jewish audience because there's a lot. They feel it's a demo that hasn't been catered to or exploited, and it can get them views and money.
Well, Christians, you know, the Christianity in this country are 100% behind Israel. They love Israel. You just hear all these preachers, Israel. I mean, I gotta ask people out there, what is so wrong with Israel? They lost all those people by barbarians, chopped babies' heads off and burned them alive.
Yeah.
What's so wrong about sending out pamphlets to these animals, and they are animals, over in Gaza, and saying, "Hey, listen, we're going to bomb your building. Get out of there."
Well, Tucker. You know, his son's not working for JD anymore. He's on the outs with Trump. His brother's on the outs with Trump. So they're just going to be, they're like Marjorie Trader Green. They're just anti-Trump people always now.
Well, when you say it's what Patrick Bet David says to him, it's how he says things. I wonder what his brother, I wonder what they got for the $250 million or whatever it was. Wonder what they got. They're like in other words, automatically, what he's saying is the Jews. It's so disgusting.
That's exactly right.
He's actually, it's these little questions that Kansas Owens puts out there every day. There's got to be something behind everything. There can't just be good friends contributing to a campaign because she loves the guy and wants to be president of the United States. It has to be Israel.
What they believe is, and full disclosure, because I know people out there think, Richie and I are not Jews, okay? They assume if you say things that are positive about Israel, you're a Jew as well. We're just moral people. I mean, you look at what's going, but they have this really negative stereotype that anything a Jew does, there's scheming. It's one of the oldest. It's one of the oldest hateful anti-Semitic stereotypes of Jews.
100%. There's a scheme behind that money because they just can't give it because they're close friends for years. He's been at Mar-a-Lago. The husband passed away. But he was a big builder. I don't know if you know. He built the Venetian Hotel in Vegas. Beautiful.
All right, Richie, I gotta run. I appreciate the call. Okay, listen, the rest of you on hold, stand by. I want to talk about coastal weight loss secret. It's going to be summer. It's already summer in Florida, isn't it? I mean, come on. It's pretty hot out there, and you want to look great over the summer at the pool, at the beach. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Lose the weight. You see me. Not only did I lose the weight, I've kept it off. Right. Be confident at the pool. Be confident at the beach. Put your swimsuit on. Take your shirt off. Wear your bikinis, okay? Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. There's no pills, no injections, no surgery, no intense workouts. I didn't do any exercise, right? And I didn't starve myself. I didn't feel hungry, and I ate foods I would normally eat. It works. Give Coastal Weight Loss Secret a call. Get your swimsuit body in shape for the summertime. 561-247-6300. It's a no-charge consultation, so schedule your free consultation today. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. We'll be right back.
Have you noticed that life comes in waves? There's high tides, low tides, moments of clarity, and moments of uncertainty. Rolling Waves is a wellness podcast honoring connection, healing, and the voices that inspire us to support each other. On Rolling Waves, you'll find thought-provoking conversations, as well as powerful stories of creativity, identity, and personal growth. Rolling Waves brings you real, honest conversations that stay with you long after the episode ends. They also have expert and inspiring guests to explore the journeys of artists, thinkers, and creators from around the world. Because sometimes being lost is exactly where you find yourself. So take a moment, tune in, and let the waves guide you. Listen to Rolling Waves right now on Spotify and YouTube. But do more than just listen. Add the podcast to your playlist right now and share the link on all your social media so your friends can listen in too. Rolling Waves, where every conversation moves you closer to who you are. Listen in on YouTube and Spotify.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
Every month, an envelope arrives at your door. Inside, a sealed dossier. Coded transmissions, a classified spy story with no clear heroes, and a mole hiding somewhere deep inside the Directorate. Your mission, decode the ciphers, follow the intelligence, uncover the truth. The Directorate, a monthly spy subscription for the kind of person who doesn't stop at the obvious answer. $15 a month. Your first dossier ships within 72 hours. JoinTheDirectorate.com. That's JoinTheDirectorate.com.
All right, we have a little time till we're back. If you're on hold, stand by. Let me check the times here. Okay. We got about 90 seconds or so until we're back. I just was looking up something. Hang in there, guys. Okay, just over a minute, and we'll be back. Nope, you're welcome to call in. If you're on hold, stand by. The number's pinned in the live chat. And guys, please like the video if you don't mind. That's what helps grow the channel. When you like the video, it gets my channel recommended to people that have not yet found me. So please like the video. That helps a lot. Okay, about a minute. Stand by. Less than a minute, actually, now. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Man, is it disturbing to find out that there's so many insane people in this world. Zelensky wants to give money to Russia by opening the pipeline so he can see more of his people being killed.
I don't understand that. That's a Reuters report. And if you're just tuning in, Zelensky said in an interview yesterday, and it's being reported in Reuters, other places too, but Reuters is credible that he said it, that he's reopening by the end of this month, April, this oil pipeline that delivers oil to Eastern Europe from Russia. So he's helping Putin make money so he can finance the war killing Ukrainians. It doesn't make sense.
I can't believe it. I mean, how could somebody want to see his people? $1 buys one bullet, maybe kills somebody. Unbelievable, man. This guy has got to get out.
Yeah.
And then not only that, we'll give them more money and they'll attack us more. And we'll get more money from America and lose people. So what? And we'll just have this fight forever. Man, oh man, this guy's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the rest of the insane. Tucker Carlson. I always thought he was a pretty fair-minded guy. He's crazy now. He just wants to say anything to be against President Trump.
That's right.
And then you got then you got all the rest of them. The liberal media and the lying liberal.
Mm-hmm. All right, Doug. I gotta move on, but I appreciate the call. You know, I saw something yesterday that I'm going to share with you here in a moment. That is, we are in in a bad spot. You know, we talk about how the UK has fallen and is an Islamic country now, right? I mean, everybody talks about this. It's well known. And the first time that I realized that England was lost was many years ago. There was one of the terrorist events. It might have been the stabbings on the bridge in London years ago, or it might have been the explosion at that Ariana Grande concert. I can't remember which one it was. It was one of those, either the explosion at the Ariana Grande concert, that was in Manchester, wasn't it? Or the knife attack on the bridge in London. And it was on. I had the news on. I had Fox on, and Fox was carrying Sky News UK Live because same company. And I talked about this the next day on the show. They were interviewing this Englishman, and he looked like a stereotypical Englishman, except he was wearing a Muslim scarf, you know, that has that pattern on it, like Arafat scarf had. And he's there and he's talking about this explosion. It was obvious, or what was the knife? I can't remember if it was the explosion or the knife attack. It was one of those two. And the next day I said, England's done. When an everyday Englishman is wearing a Muslim scarf and it's the in fashion, when Muslim clothing is the in vogue fashion among Englishmen in England, it's over. And I was right. I didn't want to be right, but I was right. And I saw this yesterday on X. A lady professor at the University of Minnesota, white woman, she's wearing a Muslim shawl with that same pattern, the Arafat pattern. I don't know what that pattern's called. I don't know what the significance of the pattern is. But isn't this cultural misappropriation, these liberals? But when you have a white woman who's a professor wearing Muslim clothing at the University of Minnesota who's teaching classes, you got to ask yourself, is it over? Or is it just, can we slow it down more so than they did in the UK? You know, in the first hour, I was playing that Muslim guy who's running for in the Democrat primary for Senate in Michigan, calling JD Vance a racist, even though he has an interracial family and his wife's not white, all this stuff. He's still a racist. You know, and this bit that I played with Tucker, you know, all of this is about, it's the Islamification of the United States. And it's been happening since 9/11, and now we got Mamdani. And it's that old analogy of the frog in the pan. You put the frog in the boiling water and it jumps out, but if you put it in the cold water and turn up the heat, it slowly boils to that's kind of what I don't know if that's true, even though people use that with the frog. I think they would jump out, but you know, whatever. You know the analogy. That's a lot about like what's going on in this country right now. Okay, and this Islamification that's going on in this country. It's going to be the end of us. It really is truly going to be the end of us. Now, I also saw this in the news yesterday here in Florida. Byron Donalds, you know, we have the Republican primary for governor of Florida. And if you're on hold, hang in there. I want to get this out before I forget. Byron Donalds is way ahead in the polls. Fishback is at like 4% now, okay? Whatever he had, he spent a couple months ago. But the lieutenant governor of Florida, who was not elected, the lady lieutenant governor of Florida resigned and took a job as president of Florida International University in Miami, okay? And we've got a lieutenant governor who's running. We've got a four-way race in the Republican primary, okay, for governor. And all the latest polling, Byron Donalds is way, way ahead. But I was watching the local news on television here in Palm Beach yesterday. I can't remember which channel it was. It was so liberal. It was probably Scripps. But the lieutenant governor of Florida had a press conference yesterday, and he did some opposition research, and they released a bunch of stuff on Byron Donalds. And one of them, and this has been mentioned before, so this is not a secret, and I've even talked about this. When he was in college, there was some drug charge against him. You know, Byron Donalds, he may be a wealthy man now and incredibly successful now, but he wasn't when he was in college. He was struggling. I am not going to hold some guy with some weed in college against him as a grown man, okay? If we started discounting people for what they did in college, like that involved weed, we wouldn't have anybody in public life, okay? Especially someone who's struggling and starting out and isn't connected and isn't rich. You know, it's an interesting thing about the MAGA movement because, you know, the next wave of MAGA, okay, look at who we have, right? We have Byron Donalds, who has the endorsement of President Trump here in Florida, JD Vance, and Marco Rubio. I mean, these are the three big MAGA guys after the president, right? I know there's others that are important, but these are the three big MAGA guys. Byron Donalds, JD Vance, and Marco Rubio. Each one of them comes from a family that's not rich, not wealthy, and not connected. In fact, at least in JD and Marco's case, first ones in the family to go to college. I don't know about Byron's parents. But when you have people that it really says a lot because the Democrat Party, what they're doing in Virginia right now, right? You know, what the Democrats are doing and what this redistricting vote in Virginia is about today is about getting a bunch of Democrats elected, and they got to do whatever it is that they got to do to get the Democrats are on the ropes here. And that's why they're doing it. Everybody knows this. It is what it is, and hopefully they get defeated in Virginia. I don't know. They certainly spent a lot of money, and they're getting a lot of press time, so I don't know. I guess it's all on turnout, and since the whole Washington bureaucracy lives in Northern Virginia, they're going to have a high turnout in Northern Virginia voting in favor of this redistricting, so who knows. But anyway, and they, I think like they said 10% of the voters voted already in early voting. So that's probably favored the pass. I haven't seen any polls that they've been bragging about on this Virginia case. But what they're telling us, look, I got a break. I just looked at the clock, and I want to finish this. So let me take the break and finish. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, 888-465-2631. Are you in pain? Why haven't you gone to see Dr. Appleton? The consultation's free. Appointments are not necessary. And let Dr. Appleton tell you how he can rid you of pain like he's done with me 7 times with his robotic laser away pain treatment. You know, with the robotic laser away pain treatment with Dr. Philip Appleton, there's no injections, no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime. And my favorite part is it works, and it works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. I meet listeners all the time, and I learn about new pains. You know, I got a call on Friday's show from Linda from Germany who went on the cruise. She saw Dr. Appleton on both ends of the cruise for her treatment, and she called in Friday about how her doctor is telling her how much she's been improved. She's a lifelong dancer, so she has all these injuries to her body that she, abusing it as a dancer. But I've met people over there that at Dr. Appleton's office who were listeners that work in construction. I met one guy whose knees were just in bad shape. He has a carpet installation company. He spent his life laying carpet in homes and offices. And, we do these things. You get older, you start to pay for things. But pain is not a part of growing older, not if you go see Dr. Appleton. The number is 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Now I'm going to finish up with this about Byron, JD, and Marco when we get back because it's very important stuff. If you're on hold, hang in. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, and it's pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631.
Hi, it's Dr. Philip Appleton. You've been hearing my commercials about bye-bye pain, my laser away treatment, but today's commercial and today's spot is going to be on Tom Laporta, Laporta Roofing, What an experience I've had with him and his company. They've done a few of my friends' houses and my son and my house, and there's never a downtime. They're old school, which means you call them up, they'll be there. How many times have you called somebody up and they never show up, or they give you an excuse, weather, traffic, whatever? Tom LaPorta, what a class act, the workmanship, the magnificent teamwork they have. I recommend them 100%.
Thanks, Dr. Appleton. Now do what Dr. Appleton did. Pick up your phone and call Tom LaPorta from LaPorta Roofing on your cell phone. 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaPortaRoofing.com.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
This is Brian Craig. I've been telling you about the great deals and incredible customer service at Friendly Tire on both new tires and used tires. One of our listeners, Antonio, went to Friendly Tire and called to share with us his experience of buying used tires at Friendly Tire in Margate.
Good morning, you're on the radio.
Hey, yes, Brian, I want to give you a quick testimony about the tire place up in Margate, Friendly Tire. Friendly Tire is everything you said it would be, man. I went up there and got me some used tires, and when I went up there, man, he was very courteous. My whole family's going for that, man. Everything you said it was going to be, man. I appreciate you for that, man. And Mike's a great guy, man.
Well, what's your name?
Antonio.
All right, Antonio. Hey, I'm glad we could save you and your family lots of money on tires at Friendly Tire.
Oh, no doubt, man. Thanks so much, man.
Do what Antonio did. Stop into Friendly Tire and find incredible deals on both new and used tires. Give Friendly Mike a call right now. 954-977-9445. 954-977-9445. And Mike will give you a quote right over the phone. 954-977-9445 for Friendly Tire in Margate.
All right, Barry, we have 30 seconds.
All right, great.
Stay by. All right, we're back, and it's time to check in with Attorney Barry Siegel from the Siegel Law Group. Attorney Barry Siegel, what do you have for us this week?
Well, first of all, I understand that you just celebrated a birthday, so I wanted to wish you a happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Yes, it's getting up there. Getting up there.
So thank you for getting me on early. I'm actually on my way to give a presentation, and that's what I'm going to talk about today is that we do presentations for your group. So if you are involved with a group with your church or synagogue or organization, charitable organization, any kind of group, condo association, if you think that it would be a good idea to have us come in and speak so we could explain some of the important things that people need to do to make sure that they're well protected and that they can gain the peace of mind by having the right planning set up so they don't end up being in a situation where things are not done right and leaving a mess behind, and at the same time costing them and their family a lot of money, leaving a lot of money on the table, either due to taxes, asset protection issues where they lose assets due to lawsuits and creditors, or even probate and guardianship, all of those things. So we welcome the opportunity. So if you have an organization, please give us a call, and we'd be happy to make those arrangements.
Yeah, and let me tell you, because I've been to many workshops that you've put on, Attorney Barry Siegel, for both the Revocable Living Trust and the Medicaid planning. And I know that sounds like a very dry topic, right? But it's not. You put together a presentation that is interesting, and it keeps you interested. And you don't go on too long either. You go to some seminars, they talk for hours. You keep it right. It is entertaining, and it's filled with a lot of good information. So if you do have any type of group like Barry mentioned, the group that you have not only will enjoy the presentation, they'll take a lot of good information away too. So call the Siegel Law Group, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com. And Siegel is spelled S-I-E-G-E-L, SiegelLawGroup.com. All right, Attorney Barry Siegel, we'll talk later in the week.
All right, thanks, Brian.
All right, take care. So let me just, if you're on hold, hang in there. Let me finish what I was saying about, we have the three up-and-coming MAGA people, right? Marco Rubio, Byron Donalds, and JD Vance. All three of them came from families without college-educated parents, without rich parents, without even, in JD's case, extreme poverty, no family connections, and all three of them could be presidents of the United States. It's really amazing. The great American success story, the opposite of elitism. And when you have people like that, you know, the left, they want you to think that they're the party of the people, of the underdog and all that. The opposite is true. But sometimes with people like that, and in this dirt that the lieutenant governor is throwing out there against Byron Donalds in this governor's race, these other politicians, they're connected, they come with means, and they've been groomed their entire life to be in Congress, to run for president or to run for governor. So because they've been groomed their entire lives, they've either been kept out of trouble or had their troubles cleaned up. So when you have people like Byron, JD, or Marco, and you find some things during their youth, college, and I'm not talking about going out and, committing some hardcore crime, but if you hear some story about weed, it's no big deal. Okay? Because these guys haven't been groomed like these other politicians have. And it really says a lot of great things about President Trump and the MAGA movement, that the three top MAGA people, and I know there's others, but these are the three top, Marco, JD, and Byron Donalds. The three top MAGA people are people that have no family connections, did not come from wealth, and their parents never went to college. And look where they are. It is an amazing story. And the MAGA movement, we need to embrace that more. But we're so caught up in everything, sometimes people forget. All right, let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, hey, Brian. This is Pastor Trevor over at Morning Star Church.
Hey,
over in Vero Beach. How are you?
Pastor Trevor and Vero, what's up?
Yeah, I feel bad I haven't called in for a while. First, I want to wish you a happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
And then also, I was trying to catch up on today's show, so I'm almost like an hour behind. But
that's okay.
I really agree with you about how things were going in Iran, and I think from just a biblical worldview, what should the Christians around our country consider doing? My prayer is that churches would openly, speak for, candidates running in the midterms that would support, the things that our president is doing. What's not talked about that had gotten some attention were like all the persecution of Christians in Nigeria. Like over 10 years, 100,000 were killed, 15,000 churches burned down. And there really is an underground Christian movement in Iran. And I think the more we start seeing this regime fall, whether it's through military action or diplomacy, if there's going to be real long-term change, I think it's just like what we've seen here in the States. It was the Christians who, through the abolitionist movement, ended slavery and all those kinds of things, and made this country great. And I think that would happen for Iran. I pray for that. And,
yeah, go ahead. What was your quick thing?
And I had one quick movie recommendation. My wife and I just watched, and it really speaks to what it's like to live in Iran. It's called Not Without My Daughter.
Oh, I remember that. With Sally Field. Sally Field's in that.
Sally Field from Mrs. I know her from Mrs. Doubtfire. I had no clue she played this role as a mother who was brought over to Iran, was tricked by her husband, who grew up in the United States for 20 years, a successful doctor. But then as soon as he got there, after this, people need to remember, Iran is known as the Islamic Republic of Iran. And it's amazing that, it's a real theocracy.
It's a fun, that movie with Sally Field is from the 90s. I remember when that came out. Yeah. They would never make that movie today. Wow. That movie would never be made today by Hollywood. No way.
Absolutely not. But man, what a moving story. That young girl who I think now is my age in her 30s.
That's a true
story.
Book
and, but I think if people saw that movie, I think they would see, what does it really mean to be a kind of a religious zealot of Islam? And it really is a religion of hate. And I know people don't want to hear that, but they're not there to change people's lives for the good. The gospel does that, not the theocracy going over there.
Absolutely. All right, Pastor Trevor, give a plug for your church in Vero Beach for our Vero Beach listeners.
Well, sure. So we are a Christ-centered Reformed church in Vero Beach, right off Oslo Road, just west of Dixie Highway. And our Sunday services are at 10 a.m. And, of course, we also put out our sermons online. So you can find us on YouTube at Morningstar Vero. That's V as in victory, E-R-O.
Yeah, you said something there. You said a Christ-centered church. Well, I just assume all churches are Christ-centered. They're not?
No. I think there's a lot of meology, as I call it. It's like the messages are just be a better you.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about those churches that are kind of like the pastor's like a Tony Robbins motivational speaker.
Exactly.
I know what you're talking about.
Maybe they quote one or two Bible verses and then that's it.
I know exactly what you mean.
And maybe some churches are a little too seeker sensitive. They don't want to talk about sin or talk about hell, but
yeah. All right, Pastor Trevor, I got to run. We're up against the top of the hour, but thanks for the call. All right, the rest of you on hold, stand by. We'll take our break for the top. In the 8 o'clock hour, we'll go back to the phones, and I got a lot more to cover as well. Our number is toll-free 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. He is right about you. There's one in particular. I've mentioned it on the air before, and boy, oh boy, did I get some negative feedback about it. But there's one in Broward County out west that I think is kind of like that. It's like a motivational speaking as opposed to Christianity. That's true. All right, we'll take our break for the top and be right back. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there, guys. Hang in there. And after the break, we'll get into some more news and more calls.
How would you like to have salon-quality hair every single day? It is possible with Irene1.com, where luxury meets science. At Irene1.com, every formula is designed to restore, repair, and transform your hair from the inside out. Powered by advanced ingredients like keratin, biotin, collagen, and nourishing botanical oils, these high-performance products go beyond surface care, penetrating deep to strengthen, hydrate, and protect every strand. Damage from heat, color, chemicals, no problem. Irene 1 brings your hair back to life, leaving it softer, shinier, smoother, and healthier with every use. And the best part, professional grade results from the comfort of your home. It's safe, gentle, and formaldehyde free. Irene 1 is designed for all hair types. This isn't just hair care, it's a transformation. Stronger hair, healthier hair equals a more confident you. Experience the difference right now at Irene1.com. That's AREEN, the number 1.com. Irene1.com. Your hair deserves more than just care. It deserves excellence. Irene1.com.
Hello, this is Mike at Friendly Tire. I've been in business 30 years at the same location and offering great deals on new and used tires. I have many suppliers. Whatever car or truck you have, I can get you incredible deals on any tire. I also do tire repairs at very low prices. Give me a call. My number is 954-977-9445. I will give you a price over the phone on new and used tires. Again, my number is 954-977-9445. Thank you.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
All right, we're still in break. Let me check the times here. Okay, we've less than a minute. We'll be back. The 8 o'clock hour has begun. You're listening to Florida's longest running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Welcome. You know, this story of what's going on in Virginia, you know, what the Democrats are doing is disenfranchising the Republicans and gerrymandering the districts so that they have pretty much almost all Democrats elected, even though the state's 45% Republican. And, you know, on the face of it, you say, well, that's a bad thing. Is it? I mean, they're in power, the Democrats, you know, and when you're in power, you run like you're in power. You know, I am physically ill. I really am sick to my stomach, and I don't mean that as an exaggeration. I mean, I really am just sick to my stomach over Thune in the Senate with the Save America Act. You know, when President Trump ran the first time, there was a big deal made by the Republicans that he had to sign off on the Republican Party platform. Remember that? And of course he did. And some of the top things in the Republican Party platform, he's accomplished. You know, overturning Roe v. Wade used to be the number one thing on the Republican Party platform. Number one. And he did it. And there's other things too. Right now, if you look at the Republican Party platform, the top thing on the Republican Party platform right now is the Save America Act. That's the number one issue, right? Voter ID, state-issued photo ID to vote, and proof of citizenship to register to vote. Number one. There's been other things on the platform, but Trump's checked them off. It's like a list to him, right? Border security, done. Deportations, done. Roe v. Wade, done. I mean, all these things, they're done. You know, and he's doing it. Reducing taxes, you know, done. In fact, what he's doing is trying to eliminate the income tax altogether. But the number one issue, the border security issue of 2026 is the Save America Act. And I'm not really upset at the Democrats for doing what they're doing in Virginia. What the Democrats are doing should be an example to us, right? We control the White House, the Senate, and the Supreme Court, even though we got a sellout or two there from time to time. And the Save America Act requiring proof of citizenship to vote and requiring photo ID to vote, these are not even controversial things. What can you do that's important without ID? You always got to show ID for everything. And Thune won't pass it through. And and in fact, yesterday he gave a little bit of a speech on the floor of the Senate, went through all these things they're doing and going to do, and he didn't even mention it. And, this is the old guard of the Republican Party working to maintain control. They don't want, remember I told you, we got Trump, then we've got Marco, we've got JD, we've got Byron and others. That's not they want the blue blood, Weekly Standard, Tucker Carlson, Bush family types back in power. And Thune's got to go. Yesterday, Rick Scott wanted to be the majority leader. I guess he didn't have enough juice there. Rick Scott was our governor for 8 years. He's a very good governor. But he's got to go. The Save America Act has the support, not just over 80% of support of the country as a whole, over 80% of Hispanics support it, and 83% of African Americans support the Save America Act. And the Republicans won't pass it through. You see what the Democrats are doing in Virginia right now. You think that they'll stand behind the filibuster, the rules of the Senate, if they take back the Senate? Of course not. And what Thune is doing is discouraging to a lot of people out there. I get it. I'm not happy about it, and I really am upset about it. And I see no indication from him that he even cares. He really doesn't. But he needs to be removed from that position. He'll still be in the Senate, but we need a new majority leader. Hey, listen, we ousted a speaker. We can do it to the majority leader in the Senate. It has to be done. There's nothing more important. In fact, the Save America Act is so properly named. And when you have really, I guess the Senate majority leader is the second most powerful Republican, right? President Trump's the most powerful, and number two would be him, because he's able to stop this number one issue for all Republican voters in this country is the save. There's not a single Republican voter out there who does not want proof of citizenship to vote and photo ID to vote. We have our own version of it that DeSantis just signed into law about 2 weeks ago here in Florida. But we need it nationally. And Thune's just not going to do it. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Joellen from Fort Lauderdale.
Hey, Joellen. You're on the air.
Hey.
Yeah.
Anna Polina Luda, she was interviewed by, I think it was Catherine Herridge, or I'm sure you know that woman, but they were talking about Thune, and she says he just doesn't want to do it. He just doesn't want to do it, and I'm saying, how does this guy hold so much power that he's able to go against the will of the people, and when it's got so much support? As soon as they voted him in, I said that's bad news. I don't even know why Trump did that, but it's done.
Well, listen, listen, it's what I was talking about. You see what the Democrats are doing in Virginia. When you are in charge, when the people elect you, you have that's what you do. You govern like a leader because you've been elected. What the Democrats are doing in Virginia, the Save America Act isn't something crooked. The Virginia Democrats, what they're doing is crooked. It's just crooked. And we're not talking about doing something crooked. What we're talking about is stopping foreign nationals and dead people from voting. And how's that even controversial?
Exactly. I mean, every country requires ID. I mean, how more clear can it be? It's just really discouraging. But I think she said, and I believe that she did say that they have some things that maybe they can do. So
it's got to be passed by the Senate, and I got to tell you what we really need, as opposed to JD Vance. When this is over in Iran, because when JD Vance gets back. What we need is JD Vance and all the Republican senators coming out and making this the issue 24 hours a day. Remove Thune, bypass the filibuster, and pass this. Because, remember what Michael Savage, he used to say, borders, language, culture, and President Trump would say, if you don't have borders, you don't have a country, right? If you don't have borders, you don't have a country. If you don't have a secure voting system, do you have a country? In 2023, this just came out over the weekend. In 2023, 10% of newborn babies were anchor babies, right? And there's been a lot born since then. The replacement theory was a fact. They were trying to do it, and they have millions and millions of people that are not legal in this country that are registered to vote because they gave them the driver's licenses. That's why they wanted to give them and I know they've updated the driver's licenses, but I'll tell you this, if you think that they push Democrats to produce ID to vote, I don't think so. I always have to show it because I'm a Republican. But you think a Democrat poll worker would no, they don't care. It has to be done.
Right. They cared when I didn't have my driver's license to go in to vote. I just had a copy of it. It took me I literally about 2.5 hours to finally get it through because somebody there heard my story.
Why didn't you have your license? What happened? You lost it? What'd you do? You lose it?
Yeah, I lost it. I did lose it. That was, but I was still able to vote. But it took me a long time to do it.
There are some issues. I give you an example, like Roe v. Wade. Okay, there were a lot of Republicans, mostly women, that didn't want Roe v. Wade to be overturned. There are certain things that are controversial issues that are divisive even within the Republican Party, but proof of citizenship to register to vote and photo ID to vote is not controversial. There's no controversy.
Not that.
And this is the Republican establishment's way to try to slow down MAGA because they're planning on a comeback when Trump's no longer president.
Yeah. Yeah, well, the other thing is about the lieutenant governor running, going against Byron Donalds and digging up this stuff. DeSantis is behind that because DeSantis is not a Byron Donalds fan. So
no, and he appointed the lieutenant governor was not elected. The lady lieutenant governor left to be the president of FIU in Miami. Mm-hmm. So this guy was appointed by DeSantis. And I saw his press conference yesterday, and he calls himself a patriot a little too much. He leans on being a patriot.
Yeah.
When somebody goes around calling themselves a patriot, I gotta ask some questions. And he did some Oppo research on Byron Donalds. By the way, things we already knew, and released them to the press like it was new. And I didn't like the look on his face.
Yeah.
He does not. He's not a nice man, our lieutenant governor of Florida. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I don't think so either. You could just listen to him and look at him. He's just full of crap.
And if DeSantis is behind this with Byron Donalds, DeSantis is doing a lot of things to try to become the attorney general. He just named State Road 80 after President Trump. State Road 80 goes from Palm Beach across the entire state to Fort Myers to the Gulf of America. He just named the airport in Palm Beach after Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. He just passed the Florida version of the Save America Act. So DeSantis is doing and he had breakfast with President Trump 2 weeks ago at the golf course in Palm Beach with his wife, Casey. So DeSantis is doing a lot of sucking up to try to become attorney general. And when I saw his lieutenant governor on the local news trashing Byron Donalds, who's not only endorsed by President Trump, he's way ahead in the polls. All the other guys have like 4%. Yeah. It says a lot about DeSantis and this guy. You can't trust DeSantis no matter how many good things he does as governor.
Yeah. I didn't know he was wanting to be the Attorney General.
Well,
That
I'm
makes sense.
assuming.
So
I'm assuming he's doing a lot of sucking up to Trump lately.
Yeah. I thought he was going to run in 28, as I said, but
I'm sure he will.
See. We'll see. But you know who is doing a great job is Tom Fitton with Judicial Watch. They have removed a lot of people off the voter rolls because they're pressuring these states and suing them. So he's really going
but you know
after these people.
this
He's doing a great job. I
idea
wish he would-
that you see them register people at the malls or in front of grocery stores. They just write names down. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break. And they don't. There's so much. There's so much corruption with the voters registration, and you should have to re-register every 4 years. It should expire like a driver's license. I don't understand.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And one last thing before we go. Here's the thing. Republicans, for as long as I can remember, have been talking about state-issued photo ID to vote and proof of citizenship. Here we got it. The House passed it, and Thune won't let it through. See, the Republican establishment are fake. They tell us what we want to hear, and then they get in power, and they're Democrats.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was somebody who explained all of that. I forget. It's one of the guys that's already a senator, I think, and he explained exactly how that works.
Yeah.
And it's really scary. It's really scary. It's thank God they're getting some of this trash out. But and Tucker Carlson, that whole thing. The biggest enemy to this country right now that we have, the biggest is Thune.
He's stopping everything. Yeah. He's worse than people get focused in on Cory Booker went off yesterday, or Pelosi, or Tucker, and all these people. The biggest problem we have in this country right now is Senator Thune.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, Joellen, I got to run. I'm very late for the break, but I appreciate the call. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Sandra. I'm calling from Delray Beach. The Barry Siegel Law Group did such wonderful work for me, and I was very particular. I'm a professional myself, and I went to about 3 or 4 attorneys prior. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't want to add anything extra, but Barry tailored it to my needs. And it's not only the trust. There's so many other end-of-life documents, the living will, the will, and I tailored each one of them to my liking, and they were wonderful and always polite. Never showed any aggravation, or because I contacted them many times. Always polite. And not only that, when you finish your documents and you leave this world, your beneficiaries could go there and they'll explain everything to them, which is a big deal because a lot of these beneficiaries or heirs, they're not cognizant of what to do. I just wanted to let you know that the Siegel Group is above and beyond any other attorney that I have ever contacted. Plus, they give you a big portfolio at the end with a leather-bound documents. It's beautiful.
Give the Siegel Law Group a call, 855-FLA-3782, 855-FLA-3782, and online, SiegelLawGroup.com.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
All right, hang in there if you're on hold. We'll be back shortly. I was looking for something. I thought I had it queued up, and I didn't. Oh, well. I have to go off the top of my head. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free. It's penned in the live chat. I can't believe it's 8:21 already. Holy smokes. Where has this show gone? It's flown by is where it's gone. All right, we're back. You know, this thing with Thune refusing to bypass the filibuster and pass the Save America Act. See, those of you that became a Republican during the time of Trump, and I told you that, you know, being a Republican before Trump was a much different thing. What's going on with Thune was every day of the week, every year, year after year, to be a Republican. They talk the talk, they get in power, and they all of a sudden make deals with the Democrats, like Thune's doing. That's what it was always like. And one of the reasons that President Trump is so popular with MAGA voters is he's the first Republican who really does what Republicans say they're going to do. All right? It's very frustrating. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, my name is Janet. I'm calling from Virginia.
Hey. Oh, yes. Big day in Virginia. Have you voted?
No, I have not. I don't trust
You're not going to vote?
mail-in voting here, and the reason why is because the last time the governor was voted in, there was ballots that could not have been
Well, you're going to go in person. You can go in person, right?
Yes, I'm going in person.
Oh, good,
I'll always
good.
go in person.
And how are you voting on this redistricting? Are you voting for or against it?
I'm voting against it because it's like really crooked, and when votes were counted for the governor, that was totally ridiculous. And I'll tell you why. I live about maybe 12 miles from Charlottesville, Virginia. And you know how they have the little tent stuff outside, you know, for, you know, Spam Burger, and we're over here for Sears. There was nobody for Spam Burger at all. Two old ladies sitting over there by themselves, and I was like, oh, that's sad. And then you come over here with Sears, you've got 100 people standing around. This is like, I'm in suburbia. So I go in and vote, and I just, okay, this is good. So let me go to Charlottesville to a couple of polling stations out there and see what's going on. Same thing. So I went around to about 5 different places, and then I went around to a couple of different counties, and I came home because I'm a senior. And at 6 o'clock on the news, I never listened to the news, 6 o'clock at night, oh, Spam Burger won. It's not possible that all the votes could have got counted then.
Well, you know, here's the thing about Virginia. The problem you have in Virginia is that the entire I'm answering these phones here. The entire bureaucracy of the federal government live in Northern Virginia, and the D.C. establishment want this redistricting scheme to pass. So I haven't seen any polls on it, but my guess is it's probably about a 70% chance it passes. But that, you know, and what are we going to do, right? That's why we need the Save America Act. See, I don't worry. As long as we have the Save America Act, you vote, proof of citizenship to register to vote, and photo ID to vote, I'm fine with that. However the elections turn out, when we have that, I'll live with it, right? But we don't have it.
Well, you know, what's really frustrating to me, you know, I have 2 different vehicles. So you go in the DMV, and it doesn't matter where you go in the state of Virginia. For example, you can go in, and the majority is illegals. The majority is. And it's people in there getting their license, can't even speak English, but they have an interpreter.
Oh, my goodness.
So I asked one of the ladies, I said, what's going to happen when that interpreter's not with them and they're driving?
Yeah.
It's so many accidents. I had 2 brand new vehicles in July, a brand new truck and a brand new BMW 4 Series.
Yeah.
Both of them got totaled off by illegals no license, no insurance.
Yeah,
But
and
so
and
we have to
the
pay
thing
the bill.
the thing about it is, here in Florida, this just started in the last couple of months. The driver's license exams are given only in English, and as of a couple of months ago, and I was talking. I went to the DMV with my wife to renew her license a couple weeks ago. There was nobody there because there's no illegals anymore. But so many illegals have been given driver's licenses. In Florida, when I go to Miami and I'm on I-95 in Miami, you can tell a mile away who the illegals are on the road. They don't know how to drive. They don't know the rules of the road. They drive like maniacs, and it gets a little scary sometimes. But the Save America Act, this is the most after Roe v. Wade and securing the border, this is number 3. The Save America Act is the most important legislation of probably our lifetime. It's the equivalent of freeing the slaves, because in America, without the Save America Act, we have an illusion of a free country, an illusion that our vote counts and matters, right? Because anyone can vote without voter ID required or proof of citizenship. So what does it mean to be registered to vote anymore if you don't have that? It's very important legislation, and it's disappeared from the news cycle. It's like been forgotten.
Oh, the news tells nothing about it. I mean, we've had 2 mass shootings in Virginia Beach, killing 8. One setting, 8 people got killed. You never hear about it on the news because they don't want to tell you. And then we had.
Well, listen, I got to run for the break, but I'm late for the break. But I appreciate the call. I want to talk about Life Imaging FLA. I mentioned this actor yesterday. Got a lot of play. He was on Melrose Place, and 57 years old. Guy had a heart attack, no symptoms, shocked. Friends, family had no idea he had heart problems. He drops dead from a heart attack at the age of 57. If he would have gone to Life Imaging FLA and had the heart scan, he would have known that he had a problem, and he could have taken care of it before he had a deadly heart attack. It's really sad. Since I found out about Life Imaging FLA and this heart scan that I've had, and it takes just a few minutes. You don't have to get undressed. I kept my clothes on, even had my watch on, and it took about less than 10 minutes. And when I see these stories of people that drop dead unexpectedly from heart attacks, it makes me even more sad than it used to, because if they'd have gone to Life Imaging FLA, could have avoided it. Life Imaging FLA have locations in Broward, Palm Beach, and Dade County. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. When you're over there, ask about their cancer screening, and guys, ask about the virtual colonoscopy. From your cell phone, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. If you're on hold, stand by. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. We'll be right back.
What if the obstacle you were born with became the strength that defined your success? From author Shahzad Nawab comes the powerful must-read true story, Born Deaf to an MBE, available on Amazon. This is an inspiring journey of determination, entrepreneurship, and the unstoppable power of belief. Born without hearing, the author refused to accept the limits others tried to place on him. Instead, he turned adversity into motivation, building success through hard work, resilience, and an unshakable belief in his own potential. Born Deaf to an MBE is about overcoming challenges. It's also about mindset, ambition, and proving that no barrier is stronger than the human spirit. Born Deaf to an MBE is a must-read for anyone chasing a dream, building a business, or searching for the courage to keep going. Discover how one man transformed obstacles into opportunity and created awareness in a hearing world. Born Deaf to an MBE from author Shahzad Nawab is available right now on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. This book also makes a great addition to your book club. Order your copy right now.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At LaPorta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At LaPorta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
There are stories the media talks about, and then there are stories they never fully explain. Jeffrey Epstein is one of those stories. You know the name, you know the headlines, but do you really know how it all worked? From cybersecurity expert and author Cody Churchwell comes a serious, fact-driven investigation at how Epstein built his operation, who enabled it, and how the system failed the victims. And he's released the results of that research in his book, TEI, The Epstein Investigation, available on Amazon. TEI doesn't deal in rumors. It deals in documented facts, court filings, financial records, and the real timeline behind one of the biggest scandals of our time. How did it happen? Who looked the other way? And how did power and influence protect one man for so long? Find out when you read TEI, The Epstein Investigation. If you're someone who believes the truth matters more than narratives, this is your next must-read book. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and free with Kindle Unlimited. The real story isn't what you saw in the news. It's in TEI, The Epstein Investigation, from author Cody Churchwell. On Amazon, share the link to the book on all your social media so your friends can read it too. TEI, from author Cody Churchwell, on Amazon.
All right, we got 30 seconds and we'll be back. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll go to the calls after the break, and I got more to discuss. And if you'd like to call in, the number's toll free. It's pinned in the live chat. All right? Stand by. 15 seconds. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show, on the radio since 1977. Now, with everything being said about the Save America Act, you know, it's important not to let it discourage you, but to motivate you, because, you know, when President Trump left the first term, they tried to get him to start a third party, and he didn't, and he decided he was going to reform the Republican Party, and he's been doing it, and there's been a lot of swamp draining, but it's far from complete. And the Senate, because they have 6-year terms, it takes a longer time. We need to have a massive voter turnout, regardless of what happens with the Save America Act, and we need to get rid of these things. You know, we need to get more MAGA Republicans elected to everything. And it, you know, these never Trumper Republicans, rhinos, rats, Republicans against Trump, they're always going to be out there. You know, we can't let Thune discourage us from a turnout. I'm frustrated beyond imagination. It really, when that first came up, I thought Thune would have no choice but to pass it. But he stood his ground. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Lynn from Boynton. How are you?
I'm doing all right, Boynton.
Okay, so listen, I hear you about the Virginia. Mm-hmm. My brother lives in Virginia, in a little town, and he was telling me how the whole northern area of Virginia is all blue.
Yes.
And the whole southern area is all red.
Correct.
He said when he moved there, maybe like 20 years ago, he's from New England, you know, he thought it was the weirdest thing. And his town has, right now, probably 2,000 people in it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the people in that area, I mean, they love Trump, you know, that area. And when that new, the blonde lady there, the new governor or mayor, whatever she is there, they are all flipping out about this girl. And they're uniting as they say. But you never hear about this in the papers or on the news, all these little things going on in these towns.
Well, yeah,
and,
yeah.
You know, but they're like a solid Trump community, and they are just appalled at
well,
this
the problem
just,
problem is there's a few problems with this, okay, in Virginia. One, it's because as I keep saying, the bureaucracy of Washington, they all live in Northern Virginia, right? All the government workers, the deep state, they all live in Northern Virginia. And this is so important for them to pass that they're going to do whatever they can do to make sure it happens. Although I'm not seeing any polls gives me a little bit of hope. But I would say the odds are against us winning it. But if they had even some fake polls that say, well, 63% of Virginians are voting for this, but I haven't seen anything like that.
Yeah. No, my brother, his whole community, his whole area there is like a lot of it, like is farmers on small farms, more cattle type stuff than growing things. And he just said, he's a very laid back guy, and he's just like had it with this whole thing. Let Trump do what he's doing, for God's sake. And the whole area down there, you won't hear about it, he said, because a lot of towns near where they live used to be very heavily KKK.
Well, it's Virginia. The capital of the Confederacy is in Virginia, so that makes sense.
Well,
right?
Yeah. So of course that's pretty much out of there now, but it's still there. You just don't hear about it anymore. And everything. And I heard you talking about the licenses down at the registries, getting you new licenses, and only in English now.
Yep.
And in December I went down to get my new license, and I was there, and when we had to go to Lantana, couldn't go to Delaware, it was too packed. So we went in there, and everybody in there was of a different heritage than English or American, and but very nice. It was very quiet.
Well, I was talking about when I went with my wife a couple weeks ago. The last time I went to renew my driver's license was 10 years ago or more in person, because you can do it online. Every once in a while, I got to go in person. And when I was in line, half the people in line had passports from other countries for their ID to get their driver's license. And then when I went down there to the same office a couple weeks ago, there was hardly anybody there, and there was none of that. And, but when there was the countdown the last week or two that they would give the test in other languages, of course, there was lines, miles long at the DMV. But that's a major move that'll help us in the long term. But this story in Virginia, I don't know. We'll find out early tonight. I don't know what time polls close in Virginia. I hope they close early.
Well, the people down there in Lantana, they were very nice people and everything, and just the people that work there. But one of them, it was kind of like, well, you have to know Spanish to work in these places now.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No, right, and everything. But I have to say, I was kind of surprised. But that's a nice place down there, and everybody was wonderful. There was no problems, and the people were just.
Well, listen, I got to run. I got to run, but I appreciate the call. Back to what's going on in Virginia, because this is so important. What they've done, and this is another thing too, and this should give you guys a lot of hope for the midterms, because they tell us, well, the midterms, the party in power always loses. If the party in power always loses, and the internal polls are showing that the Republicans are going to lose the midterms, why are the Democrats working so hard in Virginia to do this crooked scheme? Right? They're bending over backwards with this crooked scheme because their internal polls are telling them they're going to lose the midterms. So they have to do this to try to have any hope of having any influence in the House of Representatives. That's why they're doing it. If they're the internal polls you and I never see, okay? They're the real, true, accurate polls. The internal polls is why Butler happened, right? Butler happened because they saw the internal polls and saw it was hopeless, that Trump was going to win. That's why that happened. So the internal polls are telling them that the Republicans are going to do very, very well in the midterms, or they would not be doing this. So, all these things, don't let it discourage you because we got to swamp them at the poll like we did in 2024. We did so well in the presidential election because we did what President Trump said. We swamped them at the polls. And when I saw the president at Turning Point on Friday, he seems very confident to me, doesn't he? Yes. And he sees the internal polls that we don't see. But the lack of polling data, there's been very few polls lately. I was looking for some polls in Virginia. I couldn't find any. And even with the national polls and congressional races, I was looking at some of the polls today, and they're ancient. I haven't seen anything recent. I mean, look at what's going on. I gave you another example. Look what's going on in California. So they got another Democrat. This California primary, I was explaining this to you last week. It's, I don't know what term they use, but it's an open primary. Everybody, regardless of their political party, is running in the same primary. The people that come in first and second place run in the general election for governor in California. And we've got the sheriff and Steve Hilton in first and second place. And they're pushing these Democrats out to try to get a second place finish for a Democrat. And maybe they will. I don't know. There's not really any good polling in the Republican primary so far as Democrats go because we've had all this upheaval with Swalwell. Now they got the other Democrat to drop out. So, there's a lot of work going on in California to get a second place finish for a Democrat. And we had it locked up without question. First and second place was going to be a Republican. So no matter how it turned out, we'd have a Republican governor. And when you've got this kind of craziness going, they just pushed two Democrats. This thing with Swalwell, the reason all this stuff came out about Swalwell is because he wouldn't drop out. Oh, let me tell you guys, though, before we break, about Jupiter Joe Thomas. The thing about annuities, one of the things I've learned from Joe Thomas is, I learned a lot from Joe Thomas. Your money's never at risk and you're guaranteed income for the rest of your life. And you'll never lose a penny in an annuity, and you got that monthly income coming every month for the rest of your life. I didn't know that, but I also didn't know that there were so many different types of annuities. I thought an annuity was just an annuity, and it was just one annuity. There are so many different types of annuities. I'm not even going to begin to go through them all with you, but there's an annuity for whatever your life situation is, right? And they're all the same way. Your money's never at risk, and you're guaranteed income for the rest of your life. Call Joe Thomas and schedule your no-charge consultation. I've talked to so many listeners in this audience whose their lives have been changed because of Joe Thomas and annuities. Their money worries are gone. You don't want to worry about money in your retirement. A lot of people in retirement, we talk a lot about retired people that are working, and I get it. Some may want to work one day a week or something to keep their mind busy, but there's a lot of people out there that are working a lot of hours. Joe Thomas was in studio with me last week, and we were talking about the DoorDash grandma at the White House, and she had done over 11,000 deliveries. And that's not working 1 or 2 days a week to keep your mind fresh. That's working because you have to. And no one in their senior years wants to work that many hours a week unless they really have to. Call Joe Thomas. Talk to him about annuities. And when you call, he'll put together a custom proposal just for you. And remember, it's a no-charge consultation. 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, you can find it on his website, jupiterjoe.com. We'll be right back.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you My Pillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our My Pillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our My Pillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Every month, an envelope arrives at your door. Inside, a sealed dossier. Coded transmissions, a classified spy story with no clear heroes, and a mole hiding somewhere deep inside the Directorate. Your mission, decode the ciphers, follow the intelligence, uncover the truth. The Directorate, a monthly spy subscription for the kind of person who doesn't stop at the obvious answer. $15 a month. Your first dossier ships within 72 hours. Join the Directorate.com. That's jointhedirectorate.com.
Hi, Tom Laporta here. We are Laporta Roofing, a family business since 1983. You are our customer. In other words, our boss. We are here for and because of you, not the other way around. The 2026 rainy season is upon us. Because we haven't had a hurricane in 2 years, all the storm chaser roofing companies have gone out of business, leaving only the strongest and the best contractors. At Laporta Roofing, we will never sell you a roof you don't need. We don't have salesmen or commissions, so we will never pressure you to sign a contract. Also, deposits are not required. At Laporta Roofing, you will always come first. We must earn your trust, and we will. So call me on my cell at 954-604-4602 or find us on the web at laportaroofing.com. That number again is 954-604-4602, 954-604-4602, or on the web at laportaroofing.com.
Okay, we got 25 seconds, William. We'll be back. All right, we're back, and it's time to check in with William Youngerman at the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. How the metals looking, William?
Metals looking lower this morning, as they were also yesterday. Palladium being the only metal that's been up for the last 2 days, and very marginally. Gold yesterday trading in a range of $4,736 on the low, all the way up to $4,829, and then closing down $9.80 on the day at $4,819.60 the ounce. Silver was down $1.10 at $79.61 the ounce. Platinum lost $9 at $2,091, and palladium was up $3 at $1,545. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $4,770 on the low, all the way up to $4,833, and right now gold at $4,781.30. That's down $38.30. Silver $78.49. That's down $1.12. Platinum down $15 at $2,075, and palladium up $4 at $1,549 the ounce. So the markets are pretty much stable, still trading in the similar ranges we've seen for quite a while now, and building either a very strong base in which to launch off to maybe tackle some of the highs that we've seen during this year, or possibly push low, don't break out soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. If you can stop in, you should, because his store is literally, not virtually, literally a museum, and you'll see as you walk in the door. He's located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road, on the first floor of the Bank of America building, in the lobby directly across from the bank when you walk in. You can give him a call toll-free, 800-327-5010, 800-327-5010, and find both his address and phone number on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, now this just breaking about Iran. You know, all these things coming out. Iran's military council. This is Fox News. Iran's military council reportedly cuts off Khomeini from his own government. See what's going on here? I guess this is the son, right? And I don't know. I mean, is he alive? Is he in a coma? We really don't know. But the, Khomeini, I was talking yesterday about what's happened here, and this is what's going on inside Iran is nothing short of perfection so far as a war goes, from the perspective of the United States. And it just blows my mind that people are allowing themselves to be conned by these pundits, right? This is what's happening inside the Iranian government. A couple things are happening. The Revolutionary Guard are fanatics. They are religious fanatics, okay? So when they look at the civilian government that was about to make, well, in fact, the civilian government made a deal Thursday, Friday with the president, right, to open up everything, and then they came in and shut it all down. So I was telling you guys this a little bit yesterday. So it is a known fact that inside the Iranian government, there's spies that have been working for Israel and the United States, Mossad and the CIA, no doubt about it, right? That's how we had this accurate targeting with the Ayatollah Supreme Leader Khomeini on day one. And we've had other very pinpoint accurate targeting with senior military leaders as well as civilian leaders throughout the fighting in Iran. And the only leaders that are left alive are the ones that Trump is allowed to stay alive, so they had someone to sign a treaty with, an agreement with. That may change come Wednesday night. We'll see. So what the fanatics are saying is, well, who are the traitors? And so what you do, who are the traitors? So what you do is you look at who's alive in senior positions, the president, the foreign minister, they're alive, so you don't trust them. So they're taking each other out inside Iran right now. It's total chaos. They're killing each other off because they trust themselves, because the traitor knows who the traitor is, themselves personally, and if they're not a traitor, they know they're not. But they don't know if the guy next to them's a traitor. People in Iran that are either in the Revolutionary Guard or those alive in the government, they're very paranoid right now, and they're pointing fingers at everybody, and they're taking each other out. This is regime change from within, and what they don't understand is because there's so much chaos and anarchy going on inside Iran right now, is they're doing the work of Trump. This is how you do regime change. You don't do regime change with a land invasion anymore. That doesn't work. Because if you have a land invasion, the boots on the ground everybody keeps talking about, the people inside the country unify together against the invaders. Right now, they've just been out there trying to figure out who the traitors are, and they think everybody's a traitor because they're still alive. Whether or not they are, as far as I know, the foreign minister and the president of Iran could be Mossad. They could be the CIA. I don't know, but maybe they're not. We'll find out who's alive come Thursday and Friday when the bombing resumes, if they don't sign the treaty and do the official surrender. But this is not chaos. We've won the war, and Trump's allowing the Iranians to do the cleanup themselves. Don't you see this is exactly what President Trump wants? It's so obvious. And it's I don't know if the pundits on TV realize it or not, or if the Trump derangement syndrome is so deep inside their bones that they don't get it. But when the military council's turning on Khomeini's son, things are getting really sketchy and desperate over there, aren't they? Absolutely. If Bush and Cheney would have handled Saddam Hussein in Iraq like this, it would have been a similar thing, right? But they didn't want the wars to end. And when this is all over and the book is written about the inner workings of the Trump White House during this Iranian combat operation, hopefully we'll get to see how all this has been going on. But the things, they're high-fiving each other in the Situation Room at stories like this. They really are. When the story came out the other day that they wouldn't sign the deal, they're not going to show up, that the Revolutionary Guard took over, they were high-fiving at the White House. Why would they not be? Why? First off, they sign a deal Can you trust them to follow it? Even if they follow it now, they're going to follow it in 6 months, a year, 2 years? Of course not. You want these people gone. And, you know, President Trump said a couple weeks ago that the Iranian people, they won't rise up until they lose the fear of the Revolutionary Guard. And the Revolutionary Guard's still around, but they're killing each other off, and they're doing it quickly. Now, I want to talk about coastal weight loss secret. You know, I know people think losing weight's impossible. It's not. That you have to starve yourself, that you have to work out like crazy, that you have to sweat and all this stuff. No, not with Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I lost all this weight. It was very easy. I've kept it off. You know, yesterday on my birthday, you know, I had cake and one of my favorites are I love jelly beans. So I was eating jelly beans. I was eating cake, had soda, so, I'm not starving myself, and I'm still keeping the weight off, and you can do it too. And I also want to highlight that there's none of these shots or pills. You see these celebrities. I talk about Kelly Osbourne a lot because she's like one of the worst I've ever seen out of the celebrities. But you see a lot of celebrities, and they're taking these pills or shots, and they don't look good, do they? No, they don't. I can't even believe they do it. With Coastal Weight Loss Secret, you lose the weight, and it's natural without these things, and that's why you look normal and healthy when you lose the weight. And I know I do, and I feel great. I've completely lost my stomach. I was starting to get a belly, and I just thought, hey, that's part of growing old. All the guys have those bellies. I didn't think I'd be able to lose it. And not only did I lose it, I lost it without exercising. It's amazing. And remember, Coastal Weight Loss Secret can help you lose weight no matter where you're located in the world. So call them right now and schedule your no-charge consultation, whether you want to lose 25 pounds, 50 pounds, 450 pounds, or anywhere in between. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, so just to finish up with Iran. So the ceasefire is over tomorrow night. And they may come out at the last moment and say, okay, will Trump buy that? If they don't show up today, will Trump buy that? I hope not, because it's time to do the final airstrikes. And when I was listening to some of the military experts that have contacts at the Pentagon, and multiple reports yesterday is we have more air power in the area than we had when the fighting first started. So the United States has used the ceasefire as an opportunity not just to rearm, but to bring more military assets for an overwhelming final blow to Iran. And think about it. How much Islamic terrorism will there be when the Islamic Republic of Iran is no longer? Probably next to nothing. There'll still be isolated incidents, but it'll almost all evaporate. All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. The show flew by today. I can't believe it's coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 49 years on the radio. My name's Brian Craig. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We had some pretty good calls today on the program, and most of you contributed quite a lot to the program. And hopefully we'll have some good news out of Virginia to celebrate tomorrow, although that seems unlikely, but hopefully. All right, God bless America. See you tomorrow. All right, we're clear. Hey, listen, guys, thanks for tuning in. Before you go, please, if you're new, subscribe, and please like the video, guys. Liking the video helps a lot. Spread the word about the channel. It's how my videos get recommended to people that have not yet found me. So please don't leave without liking the video. All right, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. I'll see you this afternoon on the podcast. All right, take care.